All right, guys, we're live. Welcome to Thursday night's Livewell here at Fish, North Georgia. We're glad you could join us tonight. And again, if you're watching at a later date, we love you too. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you click that like and subscribe button, click that notification bell, and of course, follow Fish North Georgia or FNGO Outdoors on any of our social media. Got a great show for you guys tonight. Got the guys in here from Cast and Bartlett Outdoors, and we're going to be talking swim baits in the spring, amongst other things. So, got a great the conversation is going to go wherever we take it, but some good information is going to get dropped tonight. So before we get started, let's make sure we take care of our sponsors, as we always do. And, of course, we're going to start out with the best in the business. Trent Palmer and the guys over at Sonar Pros, 770-530-4505, by appointment only. Hey, listen, I say it every week. This is where the pros take their boats. So if you're going to get it done, you might as well get it done by the best. Take it somewhere else, Trent's eventually going to fix it for you. So appreciate the guys over there. And next, of course, the hammer on Lake Lanier, Megalodon Man, Kevin Underwood and Lip Sticker Fishing. You guys, you see it on the group page every single day. He puts his clients on some of the biggest bass on Lake Lanier. Check him out. You can reach Kevin on Facebook, or you can go to lipstickerfishing.com. Book a trip today. You will not be sorry. And he also does sonar trips. He'll teach you a little bit of everything like that. And then, as you can see my shirt right here in front of me, Evolve Rod Sleeves. Absolutely the best rod sleeve on the market, bar none. Floats, it's got the tip to protect your tip, but the best thing about it is your hooks do not stick in this. So it is absolutely the best product I have ever used when it comes to rod sleeves. If you're in a kayak game, check out the guys over at Festive Waters, www.festivewater.com, off Highway 369 going towards Lake Lanier. Hey, fishing kayaks, if you're just into fun, the paddle sports, they got you covered. Check them guys out right there. And again, one of our newer sponsors, the Money Saver Lure Retriever. How many times have you had your crankbait stuck down there in some of the brush on Lake Lanier or any of these highland reservoirs? You put one of these puppies right here, pull that camera back up. You slide this thing down, you're going to get it every single time. So one of the better, what I like to call plug knockers in the business. So Money Saver Lure Retriever. And, of course, behind me, we've got Turner Tire. You can see it in the background right there. If you're in the Jasper area, Pickens County, Brock and the guys over there, family run. Brock's an angler just like us. They will take care of you. Get your car exactly what it needs at an affordable price. 706-253-3339. And as always, I say it every week, my favorite sponsor, Etowah Mead Beer and Wine. And tonight we're having the Little Buzzer, which is an Indian pale ale with a little bit of honey. It's a little bit different. I think you guys will like it. I know Mr. Bartlett over here is going to be trying one of these throughout the show. And so, guys, listen. As always, especially this weekend, a lot of guys are going to be off tomorrow. If you have a chance, go out and support some of these local businesses and tell them the guys at Fish North Georgia sent you. So JP Vern outside's here. Woohoo. What's up, guys? I need to get my swim bait game up. Looking forward to learning. This is going to be a great show for you because I try to tell you guys you should come up here on Thursday nights and hang out before the show because that's when all the real good juice gets dropped. So to my left, we all know I'm one of the hardest working men, I would say. Yeah. That's a good compliment. Man's always tired. It's what he says. In the fishing industry, got my buddy Ryan Hanks back with us. He's been on the show before. We're going to talk about exactly what I just said, swim baits in the spring, amongst other things. But I think that is something that needs to be addressed. A lot of guys want to know it, whether you're throwing one of their prodigies or another product. There's a lot of little tips and techniques that you need to learn to make your game a little bit better. And to my right, making his first ever appearance, look at this. Look at this. Ooh, look at this face. Look at that. Look at that. He is such a good looking guy. Clint Bartlett. Now, you guys in the comments section, you might recognize the name because he kicks your butt on the question of the week every week, just about.
He does.
And he's good. Man's good at his Google game, but he is what we would say a professional cameraman. Yeah. So Bartlett Outdoors, and we'll talk about some of that tonight. He does a lot of the media for Cast and as well as other companies. And so he does fish a little bit too. So we'll talk about that as well. So everybody in the comment section, and there's Wingman right there. Hey guys, want to take a second. Listen, you meet guys doing this, and if you own a tackle shop that come in and out of your life, and you guys know Wingman Kevin Thornton is normally right here beside me. Had a little procedure done, and he is at home watching this with his wife. He's just there to protect her because he knows that if I was around, we know where she'd go, Kevin. But anyway, so he's there just, But anyway, Kevin, we love you, and we hope you mend up very well. And, man, we're starving tonight. He brings us chicken wings every Thursday. Nice. Publix chicken wings. And so tonight,
good over here.
He spoils us.
We need to go for round two sometime.
Absolutely. So, all right, guys. So anyway, I want to make sure that tonight the more specific, the better. If you've got questions, I want you to throw them out here tonight, because one of the things I struggle with as an angler, as an average angler, is big swim baits. I use some of the cast products. I have not used the bigger ones. I don't really, it's not something I'm comfortable with. So I'm going to be learning tonight exactly at the same time you guys are. And also, too, the question of the week tonight is brought to you by Cast. And what are we going to give away there, Ryan?
We're giving away the new OG 2.0.
The 2.0 OG.
Yeah.
And according
to
to
the first person to,
you will be the first person to get one of these. So that's pretty cool. We'll get it shipped out tomorrow if you win the question of the week. And of course, Kevin, even though he wasn't here, he has provided that question. So again, it's a doozy, like a 6-parter or something like that. I don't know. We were looking at it.
Clint can't enter this one, right?
No, Clint cannot win. No.
Okay.
You're
out,
win.
Clint.
So was that the machine to your left? I don't know how you're watching it, but to my left is Ryan. So if you want to call him a machine right there, look at him.
Yeah.
He's been,
that man is all machine.
He's been called. You are one of the hard.
Washing machine right now. The amount of travel and hard work I've done.
You are one of the harder working guys, and hell, one week you're in Florida, next week you're in Australia, next week you're over here on Lake Lanier. So I do at least want to say I admire your work ethic.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, you do. You bust your butt. So let's get it started. We're going to jump right in, and I'm going to throw the first question out to you. We want to talk swim baits, and you know your company produces them. What is some of the things that we as anglers need to know about throwing, let's say, the bigger swim baits?
Yeah.
We'll cover the smaller ones. You know, you got, everybody knows about this size on Lake Lanier. We're all throwing these, but when we get into the bigger swim baits,
Yeah.
what are some of the things we need to start with just from the basics on?
Okay. The very first thing that's most important is your mindset. Okay. This is not going to be a thing where you're going to go out there and chase multiple bites. Okay. It's more, I would say this is more like trophy hunting. Okay. Like deer hunting or something. Okay.
Yeah.
Us as anglers, we probably get limited time to fish, right? You want to catch them. So it's easy to go out there and pick up a worm, a drop shot, something that you feel comfortable, a jig, you're going to get bites on. You need to commit to saying, all right, I'm going to go for my biggest fish all year. Okay. And what I want to tell you guys is right now, out of the whole entire year, is the best time of year to catch a giant. And the reason for that is these big females are about to move up on bed, right? And they know they have this arduous task of spawning. Okay. So they want a big meal. They want something very big and lazy moving by them. And this is the perfect time to target them doing that.
Yeah. I know a lot of guys have been talking here in the last month or so about the big swim baits and what they're targeting. And I hear the word docks a lot, but you've kind of dropped some stuff. And I know we'll talk about docks because you had a very good explanation as to why that is. So we can talk about that. But there's a lot of other places that big swim baits excel.
Right.
And some of the little nuances that we discussed previous to the show that you were kind of explaining, so let's start off with docks. How would you approach a dock, and which dock?
Okay. So I'm just going to use Lake Lanier for a reference, but
That's
we
fine.
have, up here in North Georgia, we have a lot of lakes close by here that are clear. Right. And it's a good place to throw swim baits. It's either going to have trout or herring in it. Right?
Yeah.
So it's going to have a big meal. With me, what I found over the years, the best docks to fish are ones that have spawning points adjacent. And first, those fish are going to pull up on the deepest dock in a pocket. Okay. What's very important about that is hitting the dock at the right time. I can go in a pocket in the morning and it's low light and those fish aren't positioned. Okay. They're out roaming. They're more comfortable in that low light. I want to hit that dock. The sun is very important in the afternoon. Okay.
Yeah.
What they'll do right now, the water temperature is cold. On Lake Lanier, there's black floats. Okay. They'll suspend up under those floats in the afternoon because that's holding heat. It's a really good place for them to ambush baits too. So what I want to do if I'm looking for a big largemouth, I want to hit docks in the afternoon. And the difference when you guys cast of throwing your swim bait down a dock, like you need to get out and practice this. You need to practice skipping it and actually making correct right casts. I can tell you one time I was on Blue Ridge and I was throwing the glide bait. This is 10, 15 years ago. It's one of the best days of fishing I ever had. If my glide bait was half a foot off of that dock, they would never come out and hit it. But if I could get that glide to curve under the black float, it was every single time.
Really?
Yeah. So afternoon, that's what I want to tell you guys. I think some of you probably seen the big spots that Franco just caught.
Lord, didn't we?
Yeah, monsters. I thought the second one was 6 pounds. That spot's belly was like a double grapefruit. I mean, it was insane.
Yeah, and for reference, where he keeps going, if you go to, I know it's on our page, and it's on definitely on your page.
On my personal page and on
your
some
personal
cast
page.
pages, yeah.
You need to check out Franco, and again, Franco, wish he's here tonight. One of the best guys ever met.
Yeah, best guy.
One of the best guys
He's
ever
awesome.
met. But he's got a horseshoe up his rear end. That's what that's what I told him. But he was holding up two absolute, we call them donkeys.
Yeah,
Those
they don't
spots.
get much bigger than that.
They were
Some
great.
Becky's, if you will.
Becky's, yeah, they're Coswell.
Yeah.
So anyway, go ahead. I just want to make sure people know where they can see that
No,
picture.
definitely. So that again, we got out. It was cold in the morning. You can look. I mean, even if you're looking at forward-facing sonar or you're paying attention out there in the springtime, early in the morning, those fish a lot of times are holding to the bottom. Okay, you get this weather window, especially if you get a little bit of wind. I want to point that out. It's not really worth it going out there and throwing a big swim bait on a calm day. You'll get a lot of followers. You need a little bit of that wind to kind of break up the bait. They're more willing to commit. That was on main lake points or secondary points, going once again where they could spawn nearby in the afternoon with sun and wind. And when we caught those fish, we did the opposite of the advice I told you earlier. But but it worked, right?
Was he? Hey, wait, Clint, was he lying to me before the show?
No, this is
He wasn't lying. I mean, that's the same thing as like, oh, dude, you can only catch him on a shaky head dragging in the middle of the day when no fish want to bite anything else.
Yeah.
It's like the last tournament I fished, I caught him the first thing in the morning on the first spot.
Yeah,
So,
I guess
like,
I got you. Yeah,
each his own, right?
That's right.
But I'm saying specifically not a worm. Like, you're going to fish a big swim bait, and of course you can get bit in the morning on that.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about high percentage times throughout the day when you can make it out there and do it. So like, even if you're fishing a tournament or you're doing something like that, maybe you want to commit your morning to fishing a worm, to fishing an underspin, to doing some sort of other technique, and then go after those big ones in the afternoon. I just find that's the bite window has been really good during that time. But this was the juicy little tip that we didn't follow, but I probably should have followed now looking at it, is fishing a point uphill. A point's a very good place to fish for spotted bass, and largemouth. Instead of approaching that point, sitting off of it in deep water and casting up shallow and retrieving your bait out, okay? You can get more followers, more fish to commit to your big swim bait if you'll approach the point from the side, throw out to deep water, and pull it in shallow. The reason for that is those fish know if it's a trout or a herring out in open deep water, they're going to have to put forth a lot more effort to track that bait down. They may not catch it. But once that thing comes in that shallow water, they can pin it against the bottom. There's less places for that bait to go, and they're more willing to commit to your swim bait doing that.
See, that's a very interesting point, because you travel, it doesn't matter what lake in North Georgia, and you see a guy fishing a point.
We're all sitting off the
always sitting off, casting up to it.
Yeah.
Now, just out of curiosity, would that work with any bait, or do you just find that's a swim bait thing?
No, it works with a lot of different baits, but I really focus on that with glide baits, swim baits.
It just crossed into my head. Like, I
yeah.
wonder if that would be the same thing with a shaky head. Work the shaky head up the point or anything.
Right, you could try it. I mean, yeah, definitely. It's just what I've done with swim baits and learned over the years.
Right there. Hey, listen, that one tip right there was worth the show. So we're going to call it a night, and we'll see you later.
Yeah, all right.
Thanks for watching.
I gotta go. I'm heading back to see my buddy in Australia.
That's right. That's it.
No, but
so,
that's a good thing to keep in mind when you're out there. Switch it up,
Absolutely, I like that. Now, you do a lot of filming, and of course, you do a lot of the media for Cast.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen him put that in the in works? Have you seen him actually do that?
I can't say that I have, but I've also, every time that I've filmed with Ryan Hanks, he has got the opposite of whatever you could call a horseshoe. It's cold weather, cold fronts.
Yeah.
It's always like the bite was there a week ago, but it ain't there now. And
so it's all yesterday. That's I should have a shirt that says
it's blowing 30 miles an
Yeah.
hour. It's always cold. It's like, oh, dude, they're gonna eat an OG. They're gonna be coming up and smoking top water this week. Well, here we are this week filming echo stuff because the water temp's still 54. They ain't gonna come up and eat an OG right now.
I thought I would be filming an OG this week, but it's hard because there's a lot of moving parts to it, right? Like, I'm down in Florida. I want to film this. I've got to make sure his schedule is there.
Oh yeah, you got to do it when you can.
The person we're filming, the talent we're filming, somebody to help step in and fulfill orders, to do all the stuff, to watch the dog Marty. Like, and my fiance's in South Africa right now. So
good Lord.
Yeah, I know.
Why?
Her best friend's down there and she went to visit. And
wow. Okay. So, there you go.
Yeah. So, I mean, you have those dates and you've got to book them, and so then you got to make it go right.
And you got to adjust on the fly.
No, but the thing is, like, this trip has been awesome. I've been around some amazing people, and our days of filming went great. So I filmed the first day with Matt O'Connell. And
we all know Tommy, the long-haired wonder right there.
It was blowing 30 miles an hour on the main lake. So I said, all right, But we pulled it off, and we'll even get into that later. But it was great. And then me and Clint just went up to Chickamauga to shoot with Dylan the second half, the guy from Talking Tackle.
That's
up
right.
there. Awesome guys, by the way. If you guys are in Tennessee, I got to put a plug in for it.
Go ahead.
It is one of the coolest things. It's an experience. You're not just going fishing. You can go in there. You stay at the lodge. Wake up early in the morning. They got coffee made. If you want to just hang out in the tackle store, they'll give you a beer. You can talk tackle all day. That's why it's called Talk Tackle. They're like 1 mile from Chester Frost boat ramp, and those guys know what they're doing. They get back off the water every single day, and they walk over and pick up whatever they're catching them on off the shelf and say, hey, this is what we did good on. We thought maybe this didn't work, but they're awesome people. So it's a lot of fun. You can definitely have a good time.
And actually, if you go up there, you can stay there. So there's a lodge. Yeah. It's kind of motivated me to frame out a couple of bedrooms downstairs for you guys. I just want to come up here to Marble Hill and hang out, and we will do that. Now, I know there were some questions, and we're going to get in all of them. I know the Shop Life up there, we'll get started with him. That line through trick on the Prodigy is the ticket for spotted bass here. I think it's on Ryan's personal page. So real quick, let's talk a little bit, and again, we'll progress to the conversation as we go, but the line through technique.
Yeah, I'm glad they brought that up. There's a reason for that. I've actually got one rigged up here, and I want to show you guys. So why are we fishing a line through versus putting your normal weighted swim bait hook on a bait, right?
Right.
The reason why is most of the time I'm chasing spotted bass.
Yeah.
It's hard for them to get that big swim bait hook that's bedded down in the swim bait. The treble hook on the bottom seems to get them a lot better.
Okay.
And you guys can see how I have this one rigged here. So what I've actually done, and I've actually modded this since I put this out on my page, and since Eddie Krauth and Clint shot the video showing it, I'm now taking that bullet weight, and if you can see through here, it might be hard to see that. What I've got is the bullet weight pushed up inside the head, a tungsten bullet weight, just going to a treble hook embedded right here. And so what happens is when that fish hits the bait, this treble hook will come dislodged. It'll slide up.
Yeah.
And so now you've just got this treble hook in the fish's mouth, and he's not able to use a big bait. I mean, this is a 6-inch. We throw him up to 8-inch or whatever. He can't use that bait as leverage. So you got a really good hook up on the fish. And we'll talk about this more. Almost every single one of our soft plastics, we are really big into doing some sneaky little ways of rigging them and having the hook separate from the weight. I can't encourage you guys on any soft plastic, not just a cast one. It gives that soft plastic so much more room to breathe and natural action in the water.
Okay.
So that's how we're rigging it. This is actually the rig that Franco caught those 2 big ones on. He was using a big bow. So I've unplugged the hook, and what I'll do is I usually just tuck it right in the belly right there like that, pull it snug, and you're good to go.
Okay. So you basically rig up a treble hook with a Texas rig style bullet weight.
Yeah. So the way I rig that, right, the first thing I'm going to do, and it takes a little bit of time, guys. I want to encourage you when you're rigging these baits, don't be in a rush. You want it to track straight and swim straight. I push a toothpick through the nose. Okay. I then put a coffee straw over the top of that toothpick and push it through. Okay. And then I clip both sides. What that's going to do is now I have this little cavity. My line can go right through real easy. And before I was just having the tungsten weight sit in the belly, tie a treble hook. It sits up under his chin good. But I started taking the weight and pushing it back up in the head. And it's got a cool little swim on it like that. And that's it's really cool. I mean, especially that size. That's why we're throwing a 6-inch. For spotted bass is really good, and the treble hook's really good on it.
Yeah, I like that. So this technique, is that something that you had to adjust and figure that out because something else wasn't working?
No, I mean, I'd fished treble hook swim baits before,
right?
But it just seemed that I definitely missed a lot of fish, especially spotted bass, on a weighted swim bait hook. They have their time and place. Now, down where I live in Florida, you're fishing grass. That you need to have that because the treble hook's just going to get hung. But if I'm fishing in open water, I want to give myself every advantage I can to hook up on that fish.
You can use the tube from a pop rivet as well. Sometimes the tube is a bit long.
You can definitely do that.
But the rivets are easy to trim. That's interesting.
That definitely works.
There was a question up there. I see Taylor Temples. We'll get that one. But if there's one up above that, Tim, let me know. I don't see. Yeah. So pull up Taylor Temples right down there, 3 down from that one. What alpha angler rod do you throw swim baits on?
So I'm going to let Clint chime in on that. Right. He owns a lot of alpha, and I fished him a little bit when we first filmed the first Prodigy video. I got to use Alpha Angler. They're fantastic rods. They're super light, but Clint has those, so I'm going to let him answer that question.
Yeah, all right. So Clint, time to shine, baby.
Yeah. So Alpha Angler is an awesome company. A guy named Jake Boomer owns it, and a lot of people know of Alpha Angler through Brandon Polinick. So Brandon Polinick works with Jake. He still throws the rods to this day. Brandon's heavy on the rod design process. And so I like to, as far as throwing this swim bait, I'll either throw it on an Alpha Angler wide glide, which gives you a little, it's a 7 foot, I want to say 7'6". You got plenty of tip in there, but the wide glide I like throwing for like 7 to 9 inch glides. So like your Chads and stuff like that. But then when I throw the 6-inch Prodigy or any other 6-inch soft plastic, like it loads up good. It's got, I can still get in tight to cover, things like that. And like the biggest things about Alpha Anglers, I used to use a lot of cheap Daiwa rods and things like that. But like this is a smaller rod company that really counterbalances every single rod. Like everything is tuned. They have an awesome warranty program, and they're fairly affordable. So like I was a guy that had very cheap rods back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And once I picked up some Alpha Angler rods, I was like, okay, this is what a good priced market rod. It's got everything is great for the money. So they're in the $200 to $300 range, which sounds high, but like I sold 12 of my cheap rods and got 6 good rods. But the difference in my fishing is awesome. Like it's not just like the sensitivity, but it's the fatigue after. Like I like to put in, if I get a chance to go fishing for a day, I'm fishing for 16 hours. Like I'll go out there daylight to dark. And when you're out there fishing for that long and you're using cheap rods and stuff, like it's going to wear on you. Like you can have the biggest biceps in the world. It don't matter. Like you still hurt the next day.
Yeah, I want to chime in on that too and just say
go ahead.
that I've learned in the fishing industry, whether it's a reel or rod, anything, it's more expensive, buy quality stuff one time. You're saving more money than buying cheap products over and over, replacing them.
Yeah.
So it also, I mean, guys, we all work hard, right? You get limited time on the water to go fish. You deserve it. Like have a nice reel, have a nice drag. I mean, that's something I really encourage guys to do.
Yeah, I got that. That's, that's something that a lot of great guests on the show, but that might be one of the first times we've actually heard somebody say fatigue based upon the equipment.
For sure.
Or if we have, we definitely haven't talked about it enough. And so what's that company again?
It's Alpha Angler Fishing. You can get them on alphaangler.com.
Mm-hmm.
But they're out of the Pacific Northwest up there, but you can order. They ship very fast and they're good. Like if your rod tube breaks because FedEx sucks sometimes.
Good Lord.
Like they have like a good warranty program. Yeah.
Somebody said, is the cast going to make
But it's a smaller company and they're really good people over there. And they do also do a lot of custom work. So like, let's say you really love throwing a Senko on, you got this 6'11" rod that you love skipping docks with all the time, and like you can't find something like it. They do a lot of custom builds and things like that too, so you can really like tune it to what you want. And like it's so light. Like the first time I ever held one, I was like, "There's no way." I was like, but the thing is, like you're all in for $200 or $300 in a rod, and it changes the way you fish, like to where you're not like dragging a shaky head, and the only way you feel the bite is when you start reeling down. Like I've been there. I still do it all the time. It doesn't matter how sensitive the rod is, but like having that little bit of difference in making that longer cast, like that's one thing that's awesome. And I'm sure we'll get into talking about the cast braid, but like when you pair up the right gear with the right equipment, it's a whole system that changes the game. So like when you're slinging a Prodigy as far as you can in the wintertime and you're trying to drag it as far as you can down that ditch to stay as far off of those fish as you can when they're schooled up, you got cast braid. So it's thinner, you get a longer cast out of it. The dynamics of the braid like makes that cast worth it. You got the right rod, you got the right sensitivity. You're sitting there crawling rock, counting rocks, and then you get that little they do in the wintertime and you get that bite. If you're throwing it on a $100 rod, sometimes you don't feel that little. It's like I've always heard old Caswell say, I could feel a fish fart on it, son.
I'm glad he did that. Yeah. So guys, Kaz, I was going to say Anderson Coswell. Kaz Anderson has been on the show several times, and I have never in my life heard anybody that sounds just like Kaz. This guy can do Kaz, and I hope Kaz watches this.
He's spot on.
He's got it.
I want you to tell me a little bit about Becky And
Oh, God.
not what we. I want you to like do his like I got Becky in Kaz's voice.
Dude, if Kaz is out there on Chateau, dude, and then spots are loaded up in the brush pile, dude, you just sling that OG out there, dude. I popped it twice and she ate it, Becky. Son,
He's so good at that.
Is he not just absolutely nailed that?
That is Kaz.
It is.
Oh, bless his heart. I give him hell,
Hey,
but
I
that's
see
fun.
A question over here. I don't want to cut you guys
No,
off. But
cut
he's
me off.
asking about rigging. It's the JP burn outside. Yeah, what?
We
what's
don't
he
answer none of his
No, we don't
questions.
answer
No, we don't answer.
That's my fishing partner.
Yeah, we don't
No,
anything
I
JP
wanna-
does. Yeah, go ahead, do that.
What's he say there?
My challenge has been with plastic swim baits, what weight, jig head, weighted hook to use, which directly affects the depth and the speed to retrieve. How do you determine this?
This is a really good point, especially for right now. Okay,
Yeah.
so weighted, plastic swim baits, that's a whole plethora of whether you're throwing a 3-inch 50 feet deep in the wintertime and having a 3/8 ounce jig head to stay on the bottom. What I want to answer with is specific right now with the 6-inch Prodigy on the dock. And I want to tell you why on our site, like we sell two different weights. We sell a 1/4 ounce and we sell a 3/16. Okay.
Mhm.
So I found when practicing that a 3/16 when you're in a pocket without wind, you can keep it next to the dock float in the strike zone longer as you're reeling it.
Yeah.
Right. That 1/4 ounce, you're going to have to pick up the speed. So what I want to do there is I want to fish that 3/16 and really milk that whole side of that dock. Right now, out where Franco was catching them in the wind on a main lake point, that 1/4 ounce is letting us cast further and get it down, and you can still reel it slow, but you've got all the wind. So that's basically the answer I want to give you on that. Is it's very important with that weight, depending on the location you're fishing.
Okay.
And that is something that you're going to have to get out there and test. Now, there's a difference between a 3-inch Prodigy on a 3/8 ounce jig head in the winter, 50 feet deep, versus slow rolling a big swim bait by a dock.
Yeah. So that's a very good answer. I'm trying to read some of these comments right there, and there's some good comments in there. And one thing I will say this about Ryan. Now, granted, he's with Cast, but even when we were talking before, you mentioned same thing with other companies' products. If somebody likes it, the technique doesn't change in what you're saying.
It's about like educating the angler. Like, guys, I want you to catch fish. This is why I'm playing this game.
Yeah,
I could do something else. I'm very passionate about it, but I want you to catch fish. If it's not on a cast bait, if my knowledge helps you, that's great. I put a lot of time into doing it. I obviously live in Florida now. I spend most of the time in the saltwater because the fish actually bite there a lot better. But no, I mean, I've done this for a long time. I feel like this was probably 15 years ago with Franco on Lake Burton before they'd really ever seen big baits over there. And a guy from California is like, you need to go buy a Gancraft 230 glide bait. I was throwing it on a freaking musky rod with an Abu Garcia saltwater reel. I had no clue what I was doing, right? And what I saw at that time was, I probably missed my PB like 10 times with the wrong rod. It's just absolutely amazing, Yeah.
Which, I don't think a lot of people really stop to consider. I think the first thing that people see when they see fishing equipment is the price.
Right.
That's the first thing. And I hear guys coming in the shop, it's the price. And then they don't, then they might consider why it costs that, when to use that particular rod. But like you said, it's a system.
100%.
The right rod,
Everything is
the
a
reel,
system.
everything is a system. And kind of like what you were saying, you said you had cheap rods, but you went out, you found something, number one, that, affordable, but you liked it. There was something about them and they worked for you. Now, that might not work for somebody else, but you found comfort in what you were using.
For sure. And I think it goes a long way when you have that system. It's the same thing in anything you do. Like as a camera guy, I find those small little things that make my system, make my job, my process easier. You look at these guys at the top, like I film around a lot of Elite Series guys. I was on the water with Joey Cifuentes last week at the Bassmaster Classic. Awesome experience, by the way. Awesome, dude. He had a little bit of a tough derb, but like it's a Bassmaster Classic, man. When you make it to the Classic, it's not just a little club derby like they like to say.
Where did he say he was from?
Arkansas.
Not him.
Clint.
You.
Oh, me. I'm from outside of Charlotte, North Carolina.
Y'all call it a derb up there?
Yeah.
We call it a tournament down here in Georgia.
Yeah, you got tournaments, you got derbies.
You ain't got no
got-
derby in Georgia.
The worst thing I ever did was invent a color called Appalachia. Because I would say Appalachia, and this would wear me out
Dude,
on it.
Appalachia.
Appalachia, yeah.
And I would spell it out in text to Ryan. I'd say
yeah.
Appalachia. and he'd be like, Appalachia? And I'm like, no, brother. Sorry,
anybody
man.
that's hung around me knows I can't pronounce anything anyway.
No,
So
me neither.
if you get close, you get close. So
We ain't got no hooked on phonics boat.
no hooked on. That's exactly. If I can just get close. You just said you fished with. Get grief, you know I can't pronounce his name. Cifuentes.
Yeah, you did it.
I filmed.
Was that right?
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
Cifuentes,
It only
you
took
did
a
good.
couple beers to do it, but I got it in there. Now
I filmed with him. I didn't fish with him in the Bassmaster Classic.
that's right, but you filmed. Did I say fish?
Yeah.
Again, couple
Hopefully
beers.
this is
That would have been
still on the rear,
sweet,
yeah.
dude. I would have been ear to ear, just sitting there shaking, like, oh
Yeah.
god.
Tell me a little bit about that. I know we're going to stick on the swim bait, guys, but when I hear something like that, those are experiences that a lot of guys will never have.
For sure. And so I've been in the industry filming around. I used to work for Black Rifle Coffee Company, doing a bunch of marketing with their fishing under Paul Bork, who's an awesome dude. He's over at Rather Outdoors right now, which is Strike King Lose, all that good stuff. But the biggest thing I've learned is like through being in the fishing industry, bounced around, it's all about who you know. It's about the people. Like we always talk about, it's the people that are involved. And so what's been awesome is I got to go all over the country, travel around, and be able to take this camera everywhere I go and tell people's stories. So like that's my main goal as a videographer, is tell your story. How do I tell your story to your audience so they engage with you and latch onto your story? Because marketing has changed a lot over the years. Like it's not just the Billy Mays, hey, in your face, this is what you need to buy and this is why you need to buy it. If I'm shopping for a lure, I'm going to buy it because of the person, or I know a pro that's throwing this lure and I actually relate to that person. Or I met him one time at a classic and he stopped, jumped out of his truck. Like I was with Joey after a long day. He's sitting in the line to wait to weigh his fish. He jumps out of the car, takes a picture with kids. Like those kids are going to remember that thing.
Yes.
And if they latched on that one thing and they go shop with one of his sponsors, they're going to relate to that. And that little relation of that can make a huge difference in your business and how you carry yourself as a person and your reputation. Ultimately, I mean, that's what it's all about at the end of the day, is who you are as a person. You want to treat people how you want to be treated. And you can do little things like I'll open the door for a grandma at a gas station or whatever it is. Like it could be the littlest thing in the world. It doesn't matter what it is. Pick up a piece of trash while you're on the lake. And what those small little things make such a big difference in this industry. And I've learned that through the years. But the Bassmaster Classic was an awesome experience. This was my 7th Bassmaster Classic I've gone to, and absolutely will never miss another one if I can help it. It's fishing Christmas. It really is. Like the expo, like it's such a crazy week. Everybody's it's their first classic. It's such a wild experience. I mean, you've got all these crazy practice days, you got media days. So it's a lot of pressure on these guys. It doesn't matter if it's their 12th classic or their first classic, like they all have a very similar amount of pressure. And so when you're coming into this tournament, it's a crazy experience. So talking with Joey a few weeks back, he was like, I want to document this experience. And so that's where linked up through a buddy, Shane Durant's. He's local here. He shoots for Bassmaster. He's a fantastic photographer. Check out some of his galleries on bassmaster.com. He does an awesome job. But so Shane linked me up with Joey, and I ended up filming this to tell Joey's story of his first Bassmaster Classic.
Yeah.
And so I got to jump in a camera boat, and we rode around, wind blowing 30 miles an hour, freezing cold on Grand Lake, bouncing around, watching him fish old school. It was a lot of fun, slinging a chatterbait around and catching fish. I mean, he caught like 20, 30 fish on the first day. Like it was a ton of fun. So I basically pack up the big long lens. I get as close as I can to get the mic range, and I'm sitting there following him around all day. I mean, it doesn't matter. Like you're capturing that story. So you want to see people succeed. Everybody wants to see people succeed. But what has just now come into the industry in the past 10 years or so is watching people fail. Because if you don't see people's failures, sometimes it doesn't seem real. It seems like everybody's so accustomed to their social media nowadays. It's highlight reel. This I'm in Cancun right now. I'm having the best time of my life, but like nobody talks about their failures as much.
That was coming.
Yeah.
I knew that was coming.
I was pointing over there.
I
I'm
don't
just
want to cut
playing.
him off, but I want to tell you.
I'm just playing. Don't be moody with No, but you get to go a lot of places.
Yeah.
You work your ass off. I am not taking that away from you, but I just had to point that because he's in places that a lot of us would love to go. And I know it's for work, but it's still it's impressive to watch
For
where
sure.
you land up
And
with
I
your
want
job.
to chime in real quick.
Chime in,
I
babe.
don't want to cut Clint off,
No.
but I'm super proud of this guy right here.
Mhm.
And he has helped us so much with cast, build our brand. He's got good ideas. He's professional every time we film. But what the thing that is very, very important is not just having a good camera guy out in the water. He's a really good angler. So he knows the shots that he needs before you tell him. He knows where he needs to be with that camera. This is a moment. Oh, I'm going to get a close up of the reel. I'm going to do this versus somebody who's just really good at camera work, but doesn't really understand the situation.
100%.
So it's really good. But I just want to give a shout out to my boy.
Yeah,
over
shout
there.
out
Proud
to
of
you
him.
I
out there.
appreciate that. I
So
Proud
appreciate
of
that.
Cletus.
You Cletus.
Cletus.
You look like a Cletus now that I look at you. That
Right.
suits you. What I find interesting in that answer that is lost, especially with a lot of young anglers now, everybody's got their social media. Everybody's got a YouTube channel. Lord knows everybody wants to try to do a podcast, and that's fine. There's room for everybody. If you fail to make the human connection,
Mhm.
you're not going to succeed.
100%.
And that's exactly what you were saying.
Yeah, if you don't tell that story and make people like, I'm a podcast guy. I was super stoked to be on this podcast because I've watched it. I loved it because I can relate to not only the regional area. That's what drew me into this podcast in the beginning. Was like, okay, they talk about fish North Georgia, like I love fishing North Georgia. But then once I got in and I started like learning about you guys and learning about how y'all fish and who y'all talk to and who y'all know, like in the fishing industry is so big, but it's so small at the same time. I was in an airport in San Diego about to film a tuna trip for 12 days. I ran into a guy from my hometown that fishes derbies.
I caught you. I was going to say it.
Nerves, son.
That's okay.
And
okay.
it's crazy because it's like,
Nerves. Yeah.
like I'm all the way across the country and I run into somebody that I know. And the same thing in the fishing industry. You go to the Bassmaster Classic, you see all these people. It's like, these are all the people you see on Instagram all the time scrolling around. And then you see them face to face and you feel like you can talk to them because they've developed a presence online that you feel like you can go up to whoever it may be, whether it's Brandon Polinick, Carl Jacobson, Gussie, all these awesome guys that are at the top. The reason that they are so well liked is because one, people connect to their story, and then two, they make you feel like they know you. You walk up to them at a classic and you feel like you know this guy's story, you know who he is. It's like you've spent all this time learning who this person is, and you develop that relationship. So the biggest goal with being a video guy is being able to make whoever you're trying to film, whatever business it is, whoever it is, whatever you're trying to do, is try to tell that story in the right way to give that the right light. So they have that connection with that audience member. And ultimately, whoever's related to that target guy is going to eventually like contribute down the way, whether it's one of your sponsors or what you want to make them. It's not all about the customer, but you want to build that relationship. You want, like, I would rather have 5,000 loyal followers that actually like me, enjoy me, know my story, know who I am, than have 100,000 that could care less. And if I say, go buy an Evolve rod sleeve right now or an Alpha Angler rod, and you only get like 1,000 out of your 100,000 that buy that, great. Well, if you have 5,000 loyal followers and half of them buy whatever you said to buy, that's way more valuable.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like, it's not about numbers, it's about relationships. How many real relationships do you have with your audience?
We are not used to really deep, logical, excellent answers like this podcast.
That was awesome.
Maybe I should drink some more.
Yeah, get you another one of those little buzzers going
What's
on
over
there.
here over there,
little
by
buzzer.
the way?
Little buzzer.
What's
Yeah, give me.
It's good. I
You
like
like
it.
the little buzzer?
Mhm.
Etowah Mead, Beer, and Wine in Dahlonega, Georgia, right there.
that's
Go
good
get you
stuff.
some.
I like it.
They cannot ship that. They can only ship the mead. But yeah, we're gonna have a Fish North Georgia night up there. You gonna come?
Yes,
If we
sir.
have it,
I'm in.
We'll do the
Let's do
podcast live up there. But no, seriously, what you said, and you'll find this especially to be true because you were posting on social media. I can follow basically where you're at every second of the day. It seems like, because you're in one state in the morning and you're in another state in the afternoon. But if you don't make the relationship, you're just another guy putting a product out there. And we scroll through that. You got on a TikTok, you got 3 seconds to make a connection. On a YouTube short, same thing, 3 seconds. You're
it's
scrolling.
wild how
So
the world is now.
you got to make that. Now, thank you for that intelligent answer. I appreciate that. I'm glad to know somebody actually watches our podcast has got some brains like that. So
I don't
that's
know
good.
about that.
Yeah.
Hey, don't give, let's not.
You got to ride
Don't
home with
blow
it.
us
I
up.
don't.
Yeah.
I don't have to ride home with it. All right, let's get back to this. And again, guys, in about 20 minutes, we're going to do the question of the week, brought to you by Kevin Thornton. And of course, sponsored tonight by Cast, and you're going to get the brand new is it OG 2.0?
Yep. 2.0 G.
2.0 G. Let me say it
Yeah.
right.
Our
2.0.
editor, Michael Wood, got real fancy with that one.
Oh,
So we're
listen.
going to call it the 2.0 G.
You know what? You know what is so annoying when people call us North Georgia Fishing.
North Georgia Fishing.
Like we got.
That's what I'm going to call you from now on.
Yeah, we got our fish. Seriously, we got mentioned on another guy's YouTube channel, and finally starting getting some shout outs from other. And he called us Fishing North Georgia, and I'm like, damn, you were so close to being right. Let's pull up Nick B's question right there before I even ask mine. Do you have a favorite color Prodigy for Lanier, or does it depend on the conditions? They all look so good. I have a hard time deciding which one to throw. Can I answer that?
Yeah, you can answer that. Yeah, you did.
This one.
You picked it.
This one.
Gypsy.
I don't care. I know a lot of guys that come in, they'll buy Kitex, they'll buy whatever, and they'll look over there, and I'll say, get that purple one. Or pink, or however you want to say.
Yeah, and they're
I'm
like, really? I bet they say really.
They do.
That's why.
They do.
Let me explain that. That's
every
why.
single one of them goes.
This is what makes
really?
it so amazing. This is what you just answered why that's my favorite color. Because look, and don't get me wrong, we're all going to throw a blueback herring or a white pearl or something like that. But guess what? Every single person throws that every single day out there 1,000,000 times, and they see it. I mean, that color in a hand poured worm is done fantastic, right?
Yes.
You don't see it in the summer much. I mean, when we made that color, my business partner Mick in Australia was like, mate, we do not do this over here.
Mate.
And I'm telling you, some of my biggest spots have come on the Gypsy Prodigy. That's why I like it. Every single thing that I think we do, we're trying to show the fish something they haven't seen 1,000,000 times, how we're rigging it, how we're presenting it. That is the difference on highly pressured lakes to catch big fish and be consistently successful out there.
Absolutely. And I'll say this, there's something about in these highland reservoirs here in North Georgia, whether you're, start at Allatoona, work your way north.
Yeah.
Any shade of purple or lavender seems to really be more successful to me. And when I'm tying jigs, like we were talking, something purple, something like that. And so first time I saw that, I'm like, I'm going to throw that just for that fact alone. But I do agree with you when it comes to swim baits.
Yeah.
There's no other colors out there like
that.
You
don't really, no dinks on pink.
You still can catch, no dinks. You still can catch fish.
100%
on the other colors,
on the blueback colors and the white pearl.
Absolutely,
there's a reason for them. Also, though, I will say if I have an overcast day, I like the Casper color. That white really pops in low light situations.
It does.
First thing in the morning, overcast days, I do like that. But Gypsy is just my favorite.
Well, let me ask you that since you brought it up. Let's take a cloudy day from morning till dusk. You're going to stick with that Gypsy color all day, or just in the low light morning conditions?
No. So I would usually throw like a white pearl Casper first thing in the morning. Once the sun gets up, I'll switch over to Gypsy.
You'll switch over to Gypsy.
Yeah. Now this is like specifically talking about crawling a 3-inch Prodigy.
Yeah. We're talking about the Prodigies. Yeah. Absolutely. So
the bigger size Prodigy, I really like the big bow color a lot.
Yeah. And pull up Grant Carmichael right there, because this is actually another thing that I was getting ready to bring up. He says, I throw the 3-inch blueback herring and crush them. I love a Kitech too, but I don't have to replace the Prodigy after every catch like the Kitech. That is something that I was getting ready to say. You beat me to it, Grant. The plastic that you use with and again, we're still on the Prodigies. The plastic is a different compound. It's a little heavier, but you still get the action.
Right.
But he's exactly right.
That's
you
what
can catch multiple fish.
Because I'm going to sound selfish here, but we designed this the way we wanted it for ourselves as anglers and tried to see what was going on. That saves you, not only saves you money, right? So you're not going through 20 packs of swim baits, but it saves you, like, even as a tournament angler, time on the water, which can be very valuable, especially for the guys, talking to Dylan on the Tennessee River. They get a school fired up. They want to get back in there and go. You're not having to put glue on this thing. It bites onto the jig head perfectly. You can just get right back in there and keep going.
Yeah. And listen, one of the things, and again, Ryan will echo this sentiment because we talked. This show is not an infomercial.
No, I don't want it to be. I definitely don't want it to be.
But the problem with that is like I use your baits. So
it's not a problem.
It's not a problem. So
we highly encourage that.
So again, he did not pay us to say this stuff. So this is actually, but that is the one color that if you look, if I've got one color of your products, it's always that one.
Yeah.
And I love
cool little
it. It is. But how about your favorite dirty water color? And how about this?
Yeah.
You answer that
Yeah,
question.
he fishes more dirty water.
You
than
answer
me.
that question, young man.
So,
Cletus.
in dirty
Cletus.
water, which I love clear water. I love clear water fishing. Like I love gypsy and blueback herring. I throw blueback herring a ton. But when it comes to dirty water and you're getting down there, down South Alabama, when you're going out in Texas, I lived in Texas for a couple of years. That's when I'll like to switch it up a little bit. I will throw the Casper almost all day. So that Casper white, that's the nice thing about the biggest thing I've enjoyed about throwing the Cast Prodigy is the fact that I know that I buy one or two packs or something like that. It's going to last. Like all the times fishing Chattooga and catching them real good on a Kitech or whatever, I was going through 2 packs and I was a broke kid in college and I was like, I only got two white ones left. Like I'm screwed. But like the thing about the Prodigy is like you start like building your system and you have your overcast stuff, you got your clear day stuff, and that stuff starts to change. You got it in the box and you're holding on to those packs for a while.
Yeah.
And the thing is that Ryan cares about the people. If he was in the business to sell as many Prodigies as possible, then he would make them weaker to where you're not buying as many packs of them all the time. But he wants you to have the best experience with that bait. So you have a durable bait. You're able to use it in a versatile way. Every single product in his lineup, you can rig it freaking 7 different ways. And then you have that versatility of, I can throw this Prodigy on an A-rig. I can throw it on a jig head. I can throw it wherever. So like you buy one product and it doesn't last for one use. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, you got him trained.
No,
I'm just giving you shit.
I don't.
I know he's speaking the truth. Next question down is from Hunter Fishing. Post-frontal mornings, are you throwing that swim bait? Now, we started off talking about we were talking about the 6-inch ones. So let's go back to that in a little bit, and then I'll get to Tim White's got a question, and then Michael Temples does. Let's talk about right now, because we're talking about big swim baits.
Yeah.
You're going for that kicker.
Yeah.
If you're in a tournament, and you said it's better in the afternoon right now.
Let's just say specific to like a lake like Lanier. You know what I'm saying?
So if we're fishing Lanier, you spend your morning going and getting your limit, doing whatever. But if you want that kicker,
right.
That's kind of what we're talking about. But what about post-frontal mornings?
So definitely post-front days, as we all know, are tough fishing, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have a lot less chance to get bit that day. You're going to get a lot of followers, 100%. There's just no way around it. It's how they act. If you don't have the atmosphere and the wind, it's a lot tougher to catch them like that. The one thing that I suggest doing, and this is not throwing a big swim bait, probably the most slept-on thing that we make is a 4.1 Prodigy,
which is what in Freeman said that right there, right below him.
It's a sneak rig, and we essentially take the glass rattle out and we put nose hook this bait. And what that does, it gives an amazing action. They will bite this moving bait on a post-front calm day. It's essentially a soft body spy bait. I would downsize and switch to something like that. I wouldn't just be stubborn. I mean, sometimes I'm stubborn, but I wouldn't just be stubborn and try and get bomb a big swim bait all day when I knew the conditions weren't there. If in a perfect world, I would plan my big swim bait trips around weather conditions.
Okay. Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Perfect. So then Tim White says, what do you call a Prodigy with 2 eyes and a rattle new in the package? That's probably because they're getting hit.
Yeah, but no, I do want to address that, man. And I'm glad you put that up here. When we made these baits, the first run of them, the glue was not as good on the eyes.
Okay.
Okay. So and here's the thing, Tim, they still will bite it if you lose an eye, I promise. But that's something that we've, as you start to scale a product, which takes a while and learn and get on the water and do it. That's something we've addressed as well. So I want to let you know that.
Okay. So, all right. So you're saying like your first runs, you might've had a few problems with the eyes.
We are working on that. And I appreciate him bringing that up.
Well, no, it's fine. And I appreciate your honesty and answering that, because anything you do, you've got to, even like when we're talking about that tournament the guys throwing, when you start something new, you have hiccups, or you learn from it.
100%. And you have to let it get out into the world and get in a lot of people's hands and get feedback. And the thing is what I like when somebody gives me not negative feedback, right? Or something like that.
Positive feedback that might be negative in a way.
So they're not just being a yes man to me. So I can say, okay, that's something to consider. We need to address this because we are in the business of trying to make this the best possible swim bait.
Okay, absolutely.
And that's what it is.
And I'm going to get to Michael Temple's question, but then skip right under that because Tim's back. He says the plastic is great, except the eyes and the rattle. So that's
100%. Yeah, totally. And, for me, like personally with my fishing, Tim, 99% of the time, I'm really big into what I just showed you guys with the rattle. I kind of take it out immediately and I replace it with a nail weight. That's just how I choose to fish. The
Okay,
water.
and why
Not
is that?
saying because it's the swim that you get off this bait by doing that.
Okay.
Not having a jig head go through the body of the bait with the weight connected. What that does, that mutes the swim. I mean, yes, you can catch them on a jig head. I'm not saying that, but when you let this breathe and go back and forth, it has a very natural swim, and you'll get a lot of good bites like that. Like I said, this is the most slip-on thing that we've come out with is the sneak rig. It's if I had to have one lure in our lineup where I had to eat off this fish, you know what I'm saying? I had to catch a fish to survive. I would throw a 4.1 sneak rig.
Yeah. And before I get to Michael Temple's question, Tim Wyatt came back down and I know Tim.
Yeah.
He's definitely not a yes man.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
but that's good. But you can take that feedback.
Yeah.
And you go back and you work on something and you make it better.
Oh, no. I wasn't calling him a.
No.
Yeah.
No. He put LOL, so I know he.
Yeah. No, but I like to be able to get that sort of feedback so that we can get better. You have to be willing to do that. You have to be willing to take responsibility for things. You know.
Hey, listen, I get it 100%. So, Michael Temples, how does the Prodigy work on a rig, umbrella rig?
It works really well. Matt O'Connell was throwing that earlier this year. He calls it the chandelier.
The chandelier.
Yeah. I mean, because once again, you're not having to replace a lot of baits on it, which is cool. Because the A-rig, setting up an A-rig already costs a lot of money. You know
Good Lord, it does.
Yeah.
It does. So
I want to say one thing about the A-rig.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Encourage
Yeah,
it.
if you don't mind. Okay, so when I first threw the A-rig on the Prodigy, I threw it like I would any other swim bait on an A-rig. So I was doing pretty light jig heads, trying to keep it up high, and I had just got forward-facing sonar and was playing around with it. What I like to do with the Prodigy swim bait, you got a big oversized tail on the back of that thing. What that thing does sometimes when you're, especially on something like an A-rig, you got 5 big oversized tails on there, you're going to get a little bit of lift on there. So a lot of guys would cast out the A-rig, let it sink, and then it's going to be riding pretty shallow. But when I'm targeting those fish, especially when I was out on OHIV and like that was during the big A-rig craze in that big February month in 2021, I want to say, is like I couldn't get it down deep to those fish quick. So what I started doing was putting like 3/8. Sometimes I go with a couple half-ounce heads. So fish a little bit heavier heads when you're throwing a Prodigy, and that solves all of the problems of having that lift. It just helps it keep it down the water column. So if you're fishing for those suspended fish that are 20, 30 foot deep over the timber and you put a little bit heavier heads, it gets down to them quicker. And then you stay riding in that water column a little better. So just something to consider.
It's a good tip.
Yeah.
Very good tip. And I want to say this, one thing too, and this goes back to Tim. Number one, he's actually the guy that showed me how to throw an A-rig.
Really?
He's the A-rig master. So that's funny that you're talking about that. So but he's also one of the better anglers that I know. Mm-hmm. So when you're getting feedback from somebody that's not just somebody who's like,
100%.
He actually knows what the hell he's 100%. Doing. And that's good. So, and again, I like it. It's just good, but I appreciate you answering that. Jeremiah Giles, have you noticed a difference in the rattle versus no rattle? It makes a huge difference in jigs and worms for me, but I haven't tried it in swim baits. And I'll say this, like jig fishing, I know a lot of guys like the rattles. I find that they use the rattles more in like the wintertime.
Yeah.
Not so much the rest of the year, but I mean, I normally don't fish anything with rattles. You guys have a rattle.
Mm-hmm. Because we want the angler to have that feature there. If they want to remove the rattle and fish it quiet, stealth mode, they can do it. If they have a little bit more stained water and something else to basically call attention to their bait in the water column, we have it there. So we want the angler to be able to modify it.
Okay. I noticed that on the big 6-1 that you had up, the rattle was actually back towards the tail a little bit.
Yeah.
Whereas on the Prodigies, the smaller ones are right there under the lip.
Yeah, because what we did, we split the belly on the 6 so that if guys wanted to rig it with a weedless swim bait hook, that would go there, and there wasn't the rattle, so we put it behind that fin. So
have you found a difference in that? Like, is that something you might ever think about moving it in as far as in these smaller baits, or is it just more of a logistical thing?
I like the position in the smaller baits back to, once again, me always rigging with nail weights and doing my little deal like
and it's an option.
Yeah,
it's a great option.
It's cool though. Like we'll show some baits here in a second. The stuff we were filming this week, and me and Clint were shooting underwater footage today, and how loud you could hear that rattle on what we were doing. It was really cool. Yeah,
let's see. Let me go through. Cody Dean, you just got my order of 4 1s and 6. Going to try them Saturday on Weiss. So there you go. Which is not a typical Highland Reservoir, North Georgia herring lake. So it's getting out on other ones. Definitely a good looking bait. Let's see. This is an interesting question. Mm-hmm. Pull up JP. Every once in a while, this man has a good question. And this is one.
He has his moments.
He has his moments. I haven't used your bait yet. I will. But do you use scent or recommend scent? And I always have this talk with guys here about swim baits and scents.
Yeah.
Because you're moving.
Right.
And then you'll get somebody say, well, it's leaving a scent trail and all that. I think a moving bait is more of a reaction style bait.
Right.
So how do you feel about it? And you can answer this too after he gets talking there, Cletus.
Man, it's so split because I know I know guys that no, for me, no.
Yeah, I don't either.
I know guys that are diehard. You got to have scent on everything.
Scoot up there, Ryan. Derek wants you. They want to hear you better, baby.
I know guys that that are diehard. You got to have scent on everything. It definitely makes a huge difference. And then I know guys that are completely the opposite. And I'm going to tell you guys a funny story, and you can draw what you want from it.
I will.
Ryan Coleman, who used to guide up here, own Spot Sticker Baits.
That's
I
right.
helped him move his stuff in. He lives like an hour or two south from me. And he told me this story one night about a guy who wanted to get him to sponsor his scent, right? And Ryan says, I'm not a scent guy, you know. And anyway, so the guy kept pestering him. He's like, no, look, I appreciate it, man. It's just not my deal. So the guy books a trip with him, right? So now Ryan's like, oh, he realized when he picked him up from the Ram, this is this guy.
Right.
So the guy is putting on a big pitch the whole entire time about his scent. And at one point during that day, Ryan Coleman took his drop shot worm, opened up his gas can, the gas thing on his boat, put the worm in there, dropped it down, and caught a fish. And after he told me that story, I was like, that's pretty crazy.
Okay.
You know? Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think that it can help in certain scenarios. Maybe it can mask human scent. It does that sort of stuff. Jeff Queen, who I get all my jig heads for our swim baits, he is huge into it. Like if you ever buy one of his jigs, it smells like coffee. And he'll tell me, he told me his son fishes the Elites, KJ, and they would go out, they're the exact same color jig, the one with the scent completely outwork the other one. So I don't really have a good answer to tell you. I guess I'm somewhere in the middle on it. I don't put a lot of scent on my swim baits, but one thing it will help you with, if you're fishing it weedless with that hook embedded in there, put scent on it because it helps their mouth slide down and get a better hookup. I've seen guys do that.
Okay. I get the scent game.
Yeah.
But what I don't get is garlic. And I know JP Vernon's going to come up in the daggum comments and say, he's going to say, bite a live shad.
Yeah.
He's going to eat a shad up here one night.
Eventually, I'm going to eat a shad on camera just for him because he says that's why he said, I'll understand garlic. But coffee.
Yeah, that's the deal.
Yeah. And I'm like, at some point, some old sap was out there like, I wonder if they'll hit it and mix it in coffee or something like that.
Yeah.
Somebody had to do that first. What about you in the scent?
So I'm a big fan of scent.
Okay, here we go. We got both sides.
You got a little bit of both. And as my buddy Ian Freeman likes, we call it skin. Like put a little skin on that worm or that swim bait. But
we're out of character tonight.
So what's
I'm enjoying this.
So what's cool about that is like, so I've been a cameraman, right? So I'm in the back of the boat paying attention to these guys, watching these guys that are very, very talented and they can catch them. And what it really comes down to at the end of the day is, are you going to get more bites? It's a percentage thing. If you get one more bite in a tournament day, and that changes your tournament day. And so like I'm watching these Elite Series guys that are using it every single worm, especially up north. When it comes to just it, if you're cricket tickling, we'll get to this. If you're tickling a little echo or something like that,
I'm sitting there thinking, listen, my mind is going like, how can I get that saying right there with my wife?
Yeah, no,
cricket tickling.
He's letting you into the world of Cletus over there.
But if you got a fish following, and if you've ever fished Lanier, you know that fish is following your cricket or your wife's following that cricket. What's going to take? Get her to bite,
money, money,
exactly.
Cash.
So maybe a little bit of money that you spend on some scent is what gets her to bite.
Hey, listen, Tim, how many new catchphrases do we have now for this year?
I need to start taking notes. Really, we got bent worm, blinker fish.
T-shirt. Like he is really
cricket tickling. Oh, since JP Vern said it, all right, there you go. Look in the camera right here, there, Ryan, and give me a yum yum.
A yum yum. Okay, yum yum.
All right, give me a yum yum.
If you cricket tickle, you're gonna get some yum yum later.
Amen.
There we go. These guys, we told them what yum yum was tonight, so you guys make your own thing. So, there was a question going up. I know Ron's got it, but there was one up above that.
At the top two, Fat Bassin. I just want to say I appreciate you, brother. Thanks a lot, man. I really appreciate the support.
There you go.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think it might even been above Derek O. There was something about the weight. Somebody had something about the
What
nail
size
weight.
nail weight?
Nail weight. There you go. Steve Vaughn right there. I knew I saw it.
I use a 3/32 angler tungsten nail weight in the 4.1 Prodigy. That seems to be the perfect size.
Okay.
It fits right in that
little slot right there.
Perfectly, yeah.
Yeah. And even, if somebody doesn't want the weight, doesn't want the rattles, they can just pull it out and fish without the rattles too. So it goes silent like you were saying. Now going down to Ron. This is going to be the last question before we get to the question of the night. So let's hit Ron's right there. There you go. When you rig the nail weight in the 3-inch, do you use an owner's screw-in spring in the nose like on a fluke rig, or just hook in the nose?
Just hook in the nose. I actually tested that, and I found that it gets better action just having the hook go through. I'm not going to be able to see this on camera, but when you turn the Prodigy over, there's a little slot right there. And about halfway down that, you want to put your hook through. You don't want to put it at the very, very end. You want to give yourself enough room to where when you hook up on a fish, it doesn't blow out the nose. And this is pretty crazy, guys. Most times when you hook a fish on this rig, it does the same thing as a line through. The bait slides up the line. You hook the fish, just slide the bait back down and keep fishing.
There you go.
Cool. Yeah.
Perfect. So excellent question. All right. Is this the 2.0 right here?
Yeah, that's the new.
All right. So look, what I have in my hands is the, how did he say it? I want to make sure we mark it.
2.0 G.
The 2.0 G.
Yeah.
The 2.0 G. Now, if you want to be the first person in America, right?
Yeah.
Other than maybe one of your sponsored guys that have been fishing it for a little bit, the first non-person related to cast to have their hands on the 2.0 G, you've got to answer. You've got to answer the question. So you have the question right back there, Tim?
I do.
All right. So it is guys, when you're doing it, make all the answers in there. So it is 3 answers, and it's an angler and the year. So make sure when you put it in there, you got all of them. Because if you just give one of the answers, somebody else is going to take your answer and they're going to absolutely use what you worked on, and they're going to win it. So, Tim, the question of the week brought to you by Cast Baits tonight. What is it?
It's actually 2 answers. We narrowed it down. We're going to make it a little bit simpler on you tonight. The first 2 anglers to win the Bassmaster Classic going wire to wire, and what years? The first 2 anglers to win the Bassmaster Classic going wire to wire, and what years? Be 2 answers. All
right, so you're going to be watching that. You've got the answer right there. I'm going to jump right on, pull up Brad Thornton's question, and we're going to do that. So you guys be working on that. Tim's McGuire's going to be sitting there watching and making sure that he gets the right person. Again, if you're watching on Facebook, I'll go ahead and tell you, you need to watch on YouTube, because if a guy on Facebook and a guy on YouTube types in at the same time, YouTube always comes in first. Is the Apex ever going to come back?
No, we've actually replaced it with the Echo here. We do actually out in California. I got a buddy, Oliver Nye, that is crushing saltwater fish on it. So we may do a run out in California, but most of our focus right now is on the Echo.
Okay. All right. Now, what's your best sellers? I'm just curious.
The best seller.
The best selling colors on the Echo, and then on the
your whites and blueback.
You sell more of those than anything else?
And then I do sell a lot of gypsy, because a lot of people kind of dialed into that. As far as baits, the 3-inch baits sell the most of.
Right. Okay. So there you go. Let's see. Hunter fishing. That's not the right answer, I don't think.
Nope.
So Dance never won the Classic, Ron Swinford said. So there you go. Kevin Thornton, I object to shortening the question. Mm-hmm. Kevin, you want to know why we shortened it? Because you didn't give us the full year on the last one. Is that not right, Tim? Is that why we did it?
That's correct.
Like he typed in.
So we decided we would go a little easy on them. But don't you worry, guys. Kevin will be back, and it'll be hard the next time.
Oh, good Lord.
I assure you.
So little statement, too, while everybody is looking at it. Again, it's the angler and the year. The angler and the year. Next Wednesday and Thursday, I know if you guys watched last week, we told you that we're going to be at the No Forward Facing Sonar Tournament Anglers Association tournament on Lake Lanier. So on Wednesday and Thursday of next week, we're not going to do a live well on Tuesday and Thursday, because both days we are going to be at Laurel Park, and we are going to be doing a live weigh-in episode. We'll go live about an hour before the actual weigh-in, and we'll do some talking, and then we will show you guys the weigh-ins and hopefully get you some interviews with some of the anglers that's involved. Now, like Cody Dean, here's an example. So you got 2 anglers in 2 years. You put like Clun 1976. I'm not going to say if that's correct or not. I don't know the answer over there. But if it was, you only gave half of it. So what about, has anybody come close yet?
Absolutely not. They're
far
all
off.
over the place.
I would have had it by now.
I can tell I'm tired from here. I thought the person wrote Bob Marley. Says
Bob Marley.
Cletus would have had this by now.
I almost just gave it to him. Be like, yep, you're right, Bob Marley. We got it.
There you go. Out of the way to catch me taking that big swig right there, Tim, on camera. Yeah. So
sorry, I hit the wrong button.
That's okay. That's okay. Let me give them a hint. It happened in the 70s, correct?
That is correct.
All right. So guys, listen. Both of these anglers, wire to wire, in the 70s. And no, it was not Fat Cat Newton. You ever met Fat Cat?
No.
I think he'd be one I'd like to drink a beer with.
Oh, Bernard's a cool guy.
Bernard.
Yeah, that's his real name.
Listen, I think like hell with you. This guy knows everybody. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. You guys,
folks, Cletus would have done had this answer.
Listen, that's the thing about it is
right there he is. See him? He would have done chimed in. He's done grinning right now.
He's in there.
He is the one that answers him most weeks.
He even asked if he could participate tonight.
We took him out of the equation tonight, and you guys are killing me.
Yeah.
You guys are killing me.
I'm trying to give it to somebody else.
2 names, 2 years, both of which happened in the 70s. Okay, read the question again. Hell, I think people might have forgotten it. Hell, I did.
Somebody said
okay.
Hamner 2024.
Everybody listen in and
there's
listen.
Big. He changed his name finally. Bo Derek.
The boom is in the house.
There's the boom. He does the weigh-ins for the MPFL.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so he and I got a fetish for like 70s and 80s swimsuit models. So we had the posters and all that. You young guys don't know nothing about that. What about Farrah Fawcett? Boy, I had that poster.
Me too.
What about Joshua Goad right there? Is that close? Are we getting closer?
He's getting kind of close.
All right, read the question again.
All right. Everybody, listen
attention
closely. I'm reading it straight from the paper. First 2 anglers to win Bassmaster Classic going wire to wire in what years? 2 anglers, 2 dates. Year dates in the 70s.
And just to clear up, wire to wire is like
all days.
They were leading all days of it because I learned that literally this year. I've been in the industry a long time and I had no idea what they'd say. Wire to wire victory, and I had no idea what that meant.
If you guys don't get it in the next 5 minutes, I'm gonna keep this damn OG for myself. All right. So listen, what all that you guys are doing right now is you're allowing Kevin Thornton to sit at home and gloat in his glory.
I'm sure he is.
He is in glory. So we're going to keep going with the conversation. Is Brad Silvers close?
No.
Was Rick Clun one of them?
Yes.
Okay, so here's your problem, Brad Silvers. Like Bobby Murray can't win and Rick Clun both the same year, Bassmaster Classic. So Rick Clun is one of the answers. We're trying to help you guys out.
This is wrong.
That is wrong. Okay, so you guys keep going. Anyway.
This is rough.
I thought this would be the simplest one that he had right there. So
we took Cletus out, and I can't even believe Jeremiah ain't chimed in yet. Yeah. Jeremiah, where you at?
Google is your friend, dude. You can
Joshua, check his.
Check out Joshua Goads right there.
Stand by. We may have a winner.
Oh my gosh. Is that it?
We have a winner.
We have a winner finally.
Yeah. Cool.
Let's go.
There you go. So the right answer is Rick Clun.
Good job, Joshua.
It only took you like 452 minutes to do it. But the right answer is Rick Clun in 76 and Hank Parker in 1979.
I wish Bill Dance won a classic, but I don't think
and actually, so the third part of the question was they'd have never got that one. 1980, who was the guy's name?
Bob something.
Bob Good.
I want to give him a choice. I got another one.
Bo. It was Bo something.
I'll pick a color? Yeah, absolutely.
Hold on 1 second, bro.
So Joshua Goad, number 1, what I need you to do is hit me on Facebook Messenger or whatever, or you can message this shop through Facebook and give me your address if I don't have it, and I will ship this out to you tomorrow. But he's actually got another one. Ow, mother, that is sticky.
Nice, thanks.
And so you're going to get to choose the color.
Yeah, here you go. So this is 2 of the 4 colors. Those are the 2 I have.
2 of the 4 colors he has.
What do you want? In bankroll or herring?
So that's the bankroll, right?
Yeah, and
okay.
then the sneaky part about that, the bottom is that blue chrome, and they really, if you fish Lanier,
look at that.
They really like that.
Look at that. Blue chrome shines right there in that light. So this is bankroll, and this is the herring color. So Which one do you want, Joshua Goad? You get to choose right there, baby. We appreciate all you guys. Oh, bring it to the club. Let's see. Bring it to the club tournament. NC boys should know that.
It's calling you out, please.
Yeah, I know. He was talking smack, saying these young kids call it derbies these days. I'm 25 years old, man.
You're a young kid. Dude, I just turned 52. I don't want to hear nothing about that.
Turned 25 twice.
Hey, I'm just glad I got grouped in with these young kids.
That's right.
You see all this
Listen, you're getting there. You're getting there. How old do you know?
43. I'm about to be 43, actually.
I don't know. Good. I turned 52,
I'll be 43, on April 7th. Yeah.
Wait till you hit 50. Everything hurts.
I can't wait. Everything hurts now.
Yeah, well, just wait. Yeah, you work too hard.
It's only going to get worse.
Now, pull up hunter fishing. Now, the reason that this question came to my mind is because I saw the word shrinkage. So, anyway, just let me know which one you want. Actually, because he's not going to be here tomorrow, go ahead, Joshua, and tell me in the comment section which one you want.
If he doesn't get back, I'll just leave one. They're both rad colors.
Okay, yeah, they're awesome. So, how do they prevent shrinkage in pouring them large swim baits if they are willing to share? So, if you're willing to share, how do you prevent shrinkage?
I don't pour them personally myself, so I can't answer that.
He really doesn't know how to prevent shrinkage.
Yeah. I knew that was going to come.
We're about to go down another famous FNG rabbit hole right here.
Information. I just don't know enough about that process. That's not what I do, so I don't want to speak on something I don't know.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, rabbit hole. I went through a rabbit hole today.
Did you?
Listen, this is how it works when you're at the shop by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Honest to God, this is honest question that I got that thought popped in my mind. I was thinking about the forward-facing sonar, being for or against it and all that.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about Randy Blockett, and I was like, he hates the technology and all that. But today I was sitting there, and the thought crossed my mind. I wonder if Randy Blockett uses Viagra. And the reason being is that is a technology that helps you overcome and do things just like forward-facing sonar. So then the thought crossed my mind is if a guy is anti-forward-facing sonar, he should be anti against any other kind of technology that enhances a game. That's how I work. Like, seriously.
He should have some oil lamps if he's going to be like that.
Oil lamps. But I was sitting there thinking, like, that's how my mind works.
Yeah, y'all come visit Danny. His head's up here spinning.
How many people today in this world thought about Randy Blockett and Viagra?
Them epoxy fumes when he's building those jigs have evidently kind of fumed up on him a little bit.
Not that kind of shrinkage.
Josh says they're bringing bankroll to the south end on Lanier this weekend.
Okay, I don't know which one of you guys is going to be on the south end.
I may or may not be, man. I think I'm most likely driving back to Florida the next day. Okay, so I'll let you guys
he wants bankroll. So just send me your address and I'll get that. Why isn't Randy fishing the no forward facing sonar tournament?
That's a really good question.
I reached out to Randy Blockett via Facebook Messenger, and first of all, I asked him to come on the podcast because I wanted to talk to him about it, and his answer was, I'm taking a break from podcasts for a couple of months. Hit me back in a couple of months. I'll be glad to come on. And that was his reason. So then the second question that I sent him was, okay, well, I want your opinion about this no forward facing sonar tournament that we're having on Lanier. And he read it and he ghosted me.
Yeah.
He didn't say nothing. So, are you fishing the Chestatee tournament? No. Saturday I'll be on Allatoona with Electric Bass Opens. So, wish I was there, but who is? Oh, Ken, you?
I'll take it to you.
Ken Pruitt's going to bring it to you. Okay, so Ken Pruitt will.
Yeah,
bring
Ken's
it to
back here with me.
Ken's back there, so we will. Okay,
look for the bass cat. Look
for the bass cat, boy. I mean, just puff your chest out back there. Look for the bass cat. But anyway, Ken have it. So there you go. Right now, talking about the big swim baits, and I don't want to. And you got some new products you're going to drop, right? Is that the two?
Up here filming.
You're filming. Okay. I got one more question about the big swim bait.
Mm-hmm.
You said, I want to make sure we get this all right. So afternoons better right now for that kicker bite. Mm-hmm. But you mentioned largemouth when we were talking about docks and all.
Yeah.
If I wanted to specifically target a big spot like what Franco caught.
Yeah.
Shallow or out in open water now?
Main lake and secondary points, but up shallow on those points.
Still shallow.
Yep. I actually put a video up on my Facebook after he caught those fish because I wanted to show people and said, look at the color of the water behind me. And you could see, I mean, it was, I don't know, 2 or 3 feet up there. Super shallow, what you think about on Lanier. You don't think about being up there.
Do you think bedding spotted bass they're aggressive even when they're on the bed as opposed to a largemouth.
Yeah.
I
already know why you're laughing.
Why are you like? Okay, now go ahead and tell me why you're laughing. I won't even. Yeah,
no, it's not your question. It's not your question.
I mean,
why are you laughing?
He just had a fun comment on the Facebooks this week. And it was like, are you catching them fish on them spawning mattresses or what was
spawning
it?
beds?
Them spawning beds. He he must have caught them spots on the spawning bed.
Yeah, it's just funny to us in our stupid little world. It was hilarious.
It is. It's just kind of like my Randy Blockett thoughts.
Yeah,
little things like that make us go.
No, but we were catching them shallow there. And I've caught big spots off of docks. I just say docks. That's really a good place to target largemouth on linear.
Yeah,
because it's close to that flat in the back where they're going to spawn. They feel protected there, and a lot of times that's where I'm catching more largemouth, where I'm catching spots more out on secondary points, main lake points.
Okay, well that was what I wanted to know. How you differentiated between the two.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one more question about the spots.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned the largemouth was better in the afternoons because the docks had heated up.
Yeah.
Are spots an all-day thing, or are they better in the afternoon right now?
I think right now, typically, in my opinion,
in your opinion,
the bite is better if you can get a sunny afternoon with wind for both spots and largemouth.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, the sun is positioning those largemouth. It's warming up those floats, and I think those fish get a little more active. We have these cold nights right now, so it takes a while through the day for the water to kind of warm up a little bit, and they choose to feed right now.
Okay, good. All right. So I appreciate you. That was a question from me.
Yeah.
And I like to learn as the viewers are learning. Cody Dean, and again, we're talking. Have you tested them on shallow lakes? Now, you're down in Florida now.
Yeah, I fish them in Florida. I've done well on them there. Now I will, depending on the lake I fish down there, I will convert from having the line through treble hook. I'll fish like a BKK Titan diver in the grass down there.
For somebody that doesn't know what that is, explain what that is.
That's going to be a weighted swim bait hook that's going to keep the bait essentially more weedless. The one thing I'll say, here's another little thing, whether you're using an owner beast hook or a Titan diver, one thing you want to do is take a pair of pliers and open that hook up just a little bit because it sits so flush in a lot of these plastics where it's hard for them to make the bait collapse around it and really get a good hookup. So what I do is I take my pliers and bend it out just a little bit where I'm running my finger and I hit that spike.
Okay.
That's really, really important, actually. That's for fishing those style hooks.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So JP Vern, he's throwing out another question. When is big baits too big? Is it the classic match the hatch?
No, it's not.
theory?
There's not a too big swim bait. Actually, the bigger the swim bait, the more drawing power that it has. And when I first started fishing big swim baits, I thought, okay, maybe, I'm going to go with one a little bit smaller because I'm going to get more bites. That smaller bait does not have the same drawing power to move a fish from where he is and get his curiosity. So you really can't throw too big of a bait. You totally can't.
I want to ask you this, and this is not something I planned to ask, but E-Week 2K, but 6-inch mag draft is money. And so I want, as somebody in the industry, yes, there's a plethora of different companies making big swim baits and all that. I want your assessment, and I know you're going to be procast, but I want your honest assessment of the Prodigy in comparison to some of the more bigger, because you're still a new company. You guys are getting out there and you're growing. Why would somebody need to throw a Prodigy over a mag draft?
Okay, so
if you're selling me that product, I mean, I want to know.
Well, I want to tell you first off, the mag draft is a classic lure. It's an amazing lure. I've caught giant fish on it. I'm not here to discredit the mag draft.
Absolutely.
Megabass is probably one of my favorite companies in the world. What they've done, I mean, in my opinion, the best jerkbait ever made is Vision 110. Yeah, I literally will not fish another jerkbait, and I haven't for years because of that. So I have a lot of respect for them. I think the mag draft skips really well. The thing I like about the Prodigy, though, and why we designed it this way is because we're able to rig it a bunch of different ways for us. Like, guys, I fish saltwater too. So when I got back from my trip, the first thing we did, we found some early season tarpon that showed up. And me and my buddy Tyler went out and put big jig heads on the Prodigy and caught tarpon. Then went offshore and caught grouper. Then brought it up here and caught spotted bass on a line through. So we want to – I'm not just thinking specifically with bass fishing. I'm thinking with fishing and being able to present my lure to a lot of different fish because – I fish a lot of different ways, right? So that's why we made the Prodigy that way. It enables you to rig it how you need for your situation. If you're in Florida, rigging it for grass with that's why we made it that way.
That's an excellent answer.
But the mag draft and there's some great swim baits out there. There totally is.
Yeah. But you're still, and the reason I asked that is you got to crack the market, and you've got to there's got to be something a little bit different.
100%.
Unless you're Berkeley.
No comment.
I got a quick
naughty
on the 6-inch swim bait in general. So everybody throws a mag draft, right? Everybody talks about a mag draft. You got the hook harness, all that stuff. And then line throughs have been very popular recently. I mean, you had, so with Megabass, they had the harness. And then all of a sudden, 6th Sense came out with a hangover. And then you got Chris Zaldane, who's been working on his Bass Mafia version of his line through swim bait. And so these different swim baits fit different times of year. They fish like different ways you're going to fish a swim bait at the end of the day. So they all have a little bit different action, a little bit different profile. They're 4 different things. So you look at a 6th Sense hangover. I like that bait more for if I'm going to scope a fish, if I'm out there looking for suspended fish, but I'm not going to fish that fish on the bottom. I'm not going to throw that swim bait around a dock typically. Like you have these specific reasons to throw a swim bait. And that's when you really get into the swim bait game. You have these different ones. You have one you're going to drag on a ledge, like a Prodigy I'm going to throw around a dock other than a mag draft, because what I like about it is the fact that it doesn't blow out. If I'm going to speed it up, if that fish comes hot off that dock float and I speed up, if you speed up a mag draft, it's going to do this right here. And that's why Chris went so hard into making sure that his bait doesn't blow out. He weighted it the proper way to where it doesn't blow out sideways. And the same thing with rigging a Prodigy on a line through. Like, of course, we want to talk about cast and all this stuff, but like there's other baits in the market that serve these different purposes. But the thing is, like, you got to figure out what your fish are doing. You got to figure out what are they after, what is the presentation they're after. Let's say you tie it on a mag draft and you go out and you go to speed that bait up and it blows out and that fish doesn't eat it. And then you go tie on a Prodigy and you go back to that same fish the next day and maybe he's there, maybe he's not. Every time I go back, they're not there. But like, and you are able to burn it and speed it up, or you speed it up over that brush pile and you get bit. Like, that's the whole point of fishing, is you're out there putting the puzzle pieces together and it changes every single day. That's why we all are so in love with it. And it's such a drug, is it changes every single day. So being able to have the tools in the toolbox, you can have this one bait for this certain technique. And then that's why we have so many baits in our tackle box. And it's like, I can't remember the last time I threw that. And then you're 2 years in, you're in the middle of a derby, you're spun out and you're like, oh, I bet you this would work. And you bought it 2 years ago on the shelf, haven't touched it since, pull it out and catch a 20 bag. Like, it's all about having that versatile thing.
I love his sayings.
I like it. Yeah.
Catch a 20 bag.
No, the whole, just in general, speeding things up to create a reaction strategy.
Yeah.
You think about nature and you think that, you got a big fish following a bait fish. He's not going to like slow down for that fish. He wants to get away and live, right?
Yeah.
So being able to incorporate speed is a good way to get bite triggers.
Yeah, and Mr. O'Connell made a visit right there, Matt O.
Yeah,
6 Inch Prodigy. I've heard of him. He's okay.
Yeah,
I
got to spend the day in the boat with him filming. Guys,
he's a good dude.
Yeah, he's a really good dude and a really great fisherman.
Got great hair.
Yeah,
he's got great. He's got fantastic hair.
Fantastic.
This is a different question. Pull up that we've had today. Pull up Fred Ashcraft up there, right there. Is there a preferred swim bait for South Georgia tidal fisheries? And since you spend some time in saltwater and up here, I'm not quite as familiar with the Georgia tidal fisheries, but what would you use if you were going in there?
To this again, especially because we absolutely throttle them in saltwater. The 4.1 on the sneak rig. And if I was fishing those sort of places with some same water, I would use Casper 100%.
Okay.
This is exactly what I'd throw. I'll tell you, this is a really cool story. I went out, my buddy Tyler Capella is an amazing guy down in Clearwater or in Tampa area. He's actually caught the state record tarpon 2 years in a row. He's just got them dialed in, and he sees a lot of the bass stuff we're doing. He's like, oh, I got to try that. So his new goal this year is he's going to get a tarpon on the line through 6 inch. And he saw the sneak rig. And I remember down in Tampa where we go fish for snook a lot of times, these guys will have, it looks just like a blueback herring. It's greenbacks. And they'll put them in these, like a wiffle ball bat cut off. And they'll sling the bait fish out there to get the snook fired up. And he thought, we're going to have to do that. Then we can throw these in here to catch them, right? He's used to it. That day, I'm not making this up. The sneak rig, 20 snook, live bait, 0. And it was because the water was still colder, right? And they're very tropical fish.
Yeah.
And we were able to slow the sneak rig right above their head and keep it in the strike zone longer. They didn't feel like committing to chasing down those baits. They were kind of, lethargic, and being able to slow roll it right by them. It was really cool, really eye-opening. So I think my answer to almost anything you're going to ask me fishing related is, guys, try the 4.1. It's not
on a sneak rig.
Yeah.
And Jeremiah, I know he was talking about 16-inch glide baits. I know that is his game. But Guy B has a question that kind of goes into that. Does or will cast make a glide bait?
We've thought about it. I think for us, when we make something, there has to be a good reason for it. And how can we make it more beneficial than what's out there, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I even played around with worms and like our material lasting longer, not having to go through a bunch of worms. We're still testing that. But I don't want us to make the 50th version of something. I want it to be something that's very unique, that especially now, I keep reiterating, pressured fisheries.
Yes.
How can we get responses from it, put in the R&D on it, and not rush something to market? So what would be, I mean, to ask you a question back, why would you buy a glide bait from Cast? Like, what sort of things? Not just because it has a Cast name on it, right? But what can we improve upon this? To me, a Depths 250 is one of the best glide baits out there.
Yeah.
There's really good stuff out there. We would definitely do it, but we'd want to have the time on R&D to make it, what could be different.
How could you differentiate a cast from?
And
so that's absolutely awesome. Let's see. Back to you there, Cletus. What alpha rod do you throw the sneak on?
So I like the sneak rig on a 7.2 Spybait rod. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
It's just a simple Spybait rod. So the cool thing about the sneak rig is, like, if you check out our underwater footage we got on it, it is like a soft plastic Spybait.
Exactly.
So the 7.2 Spybait rod is awesome. The sneak rig, another thing, like, it's like a Spybait, but have you ever skipped a Spybait under a dock? No, but you can skip a sneak rig under a dock. So that's one of those sneaky things when those fish are being a little bit more finicky. Let's say you're throwing a 6-inch swim bait around docks and stuff, and you're getting some followers and things like that. We were filming a couple weeks ago, filming a 6-inch Prodigy video, and there's a couple times like the fish kind of got a little finicky. So we started skipping some sneak rigs under some docks, and we started getting more bites. So like, it's a good thing to, if you see one thing working, it's a good follow-up, especially like a lot of times when we were getting bit on the 6-inch Prodigy, there's another fish with it. And like, especially when these bucks and females start pulling up on docks and start rubbing up on them and hanging out, staging up on these docks, your buddy catches one fish off the front. It's typically got a buddy with them. You could skip that sneak rig right on top of that fish and they'll eat it. Like with that 6-inch line through, we had a couple times where he hooked one fish on the line through, the bait slid up the line and another fish came and ate the 6-inch off of the line.
Yeah.
So when you have things like that, it just helps with that versatility of being able to skip that thing under the dock. But yeah, 7.2 Spybait rod, alpha angler.
Gotcha. Yeah. So E-Week 2K, he asked if you ever use a 3 and a 4 as a swim jig trailer, and then Matty O right there at the bottom went ahead and answered that for us. He said it's great as a swim jig or chatterbait trailer. The Echo is also great on a chatterbait for a more subtle. And Scratch Fishing wants to know, what was the glide bait you mentioned? The Depths what?
Depths 250.
Depths 250.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you ever fish a big swim bait at night?
Not so much. I mean, I've thrown really big top wetters at night. I mean, and then once again, I know we got mostly bass guys watching. I do throw a big swim bait in Florida for tarpon and grouper at night and snook, and it works really good.
That's a good thing for them there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I throw it on dock lights a lot.
Yeah,
too.
dock lights.
Marina
him
walls,
and Eddie fish dock lights a lot.
like Rocky Points, like the same, like we talk about windy Rocky Points and things like that, like first thing in the morning. But it's also like I said, I'm a daylight to dark kind of guy. I'll stay out there till it's dark, and I should leave like an hour or two ago, and I'm still out there. I've been able to catch them, especially that oversized tail on the Prodigy. You got a little bit more thump. So a lot of guys throw a spinnerbait or chatterbait at night. You still get that same thump action out of that big tail on the Prodigy too. So that's another option for you night fishing summertime, boys.
Awesome. So pull up James Ramsey's comment right there at the top. There's one of my new buddies there. I fished with against him Saturday.
Yeah, you did?
Yeah, I told him to tell me that on live. So
Oh, nice, nice.
I just want to give him his due.
Yeah.
He did what I asked him. So yeah, you eat it too, big dog. Yeah, so that's good. Now, got a couple of new baits. I want to make sure I give you the time, and we'll keep going on the questions, guys, but I want to make sure you got time to cut. You had some stuff you wanted to show us today. So let's go over that while we've got time and we got people
what we're
watching.
up here filming for this time. We've added some new colors to the Echo. This color is called Ozark. I don't know how well that's going to pick that up.
Actually, let's get Tim. You think you can reach up there and zoom in on that? You got
Sure
time?
can.
All right, so just give Tim a second, and the light really accentuates the color a little bit. You tell me. There you go. So this
There we
is
go.
called
Yeah, that's
Ozark.
Ozark. Yeah. So it's a gray. It's kind of a ghost belly with a purple sheen on it. I'm a huge fan of purple.
Yes.
That's my deal. It's a color we always wanted to make. And then what we just added here, if you want to hold this up, this is the 5.4 Echo.
5.4 Echo. And now you guys, if you don't know the difference between the Echo and the Prodigy, look at the tail. I'm sure there's other differences, but that's the main one.
Yeah. So
the fork tail. Yeah.
The fork tail. Okay.
So what's been really cool about this bait is during the prototype phase, Dylan up at Talk and Tackle had a 30-pound bag when I gave it to him on Chickamauga. So that was really cool. And then Matt O'Connell recently caught his PB smallmouth, a 5.5 pounder on it. And
now, how are they fishing it?
So there's a bunch of different ways you can rig this bait. It's really, really good. I don't want to get into the whole forward-facing sonar thing, but guys that don't have it, whatever, either way, on the back of a scrounger head and a chatterbait, it's excellent on that.
I love a scrounger.
Yeah, it's amazing on a scrounger. We shot the underwater footage today. Can't wait for people to see it. What's really special about this bait that was fishing it on either a jig head or a hover rig, it'll roll back and forth, and we have that rattle to kind of call them in. Let me see if you can show this. I have a hover rig over here, and this essentially turns this bait almost into like a soft plastic. How would you say that, Clint?
I'd say it's more like a soft plastic blade bait. To be quite honest, it kind of in the water.
Yeah, so you can
pretty
fish this.
Sneaky little deal.
You can scope fish with this, and it's going to swim like a real fish. The way we have that rig. Once again, we talked about the separation of the hook and the weight, and that lets the plastic breathe, right? Versus the jig head. Okay, so let me show you here.
So we got the hook.
So there's a hook in there. There's no weight on that hook. You can see it coming out the back.
So this is almost kind of like what guys would use. It screws in.
Yeah, the weight on the front's a screw in.
Okay.
What that does, that balances the bait so that you can speed it up. And it'll swim, and it vibes like this. So we fish it a bunch of different ways. You can scope fish with it. You can do all that. Even this morning, we were up a nickajack. I was crawling it on the rocks like you would a crankbait, and it was bouncing it off.
So you got a 3/0 for the 5.4 hook in there, like a hover style hook, and then that's a 3/16 ounce nail weight. So it's just a nail weight with the ball in the end.
And you're getting that rattle go back and forth, but it's a natural swim. It's very realistic. And where I'm super excited to see this is one specifically Lanier. Once the bass move out over the brush and they're chasing herring, burning that over the top of some brush.
I can see that getting nailed. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, and I'm just a big fan of that color. That color is called Ozark. So
and that's a perfect size for that. You think people throwing Sabills and stuff like that. I mean, that is
like if you mix like a Sabil with a fluke is like almost what I'd say, but it has a very tight shimmy. It has a really natural swim. If you look at a fish swim, its body just lifts back and forth.
And what's cool is if you have a fish following it and you're sitting there and slowly reeling it, it's just slowly shimmying, right? But then we always have, especially forward facing sonar guys, like when you're watching that fish start to come up and commit, and then they'll typically back off. If you speed that thing up and it starts to vibrate harder and get farther away from them faster, that's when they'll commit. Or you can drop it down to the bottom, especially in these colder water temps. I noticed out there today.
Yeah,
I had two like a wolf pack of spots coming up. They're cruising in like 20 foot, and I'm sitting over 40, and then they like followed it up and then didn't commit. So I dropped it down to the bottom, and I hit the bottom. As soon as I hit the bottom, they both sharked down on it, and I just like a little blade bait on the bottom, and then it crushed it and caught a 5-pound spot. Like it's
I just got a 5-pound spot. That's awesome.
I'm
just
totally
a 5.
kidding. It was a 1 pound.
Yeah, guys, disclaimer: it only catches 5 pounds.
It was a 1 pound spot.
No, it's something we're really excited about, and it's pushing on that whole idea of the separation of weight, just like the sneak rig, the weight separation from the hook, and getting all the action out of the plastic.
I love it. I love it. What's that bait called again? James Ramsey wants to know.
This is the Echo, the new size that we have, a 3.5 and a 5.4, and that will be available mid-April.
Okay, there you go.
The next thing we're releasing on April the 2nd, we will have the new OG 2.0.
And somebody asked, and I missed it. Somebody wanted to know what the difference was between this.
Yeah, so what we've done, if you guys have had an OG before, you've seen we've had sticker eyes. I'm a big fan of eyes on baits. I like realism. We've now embedded eyeballs on here. We've also upgraded the hooks. So a lot of my friends fish this for snook as well. Now this will stand up to it. The hooks we had on there before were awesome. They were super sharp, but this will stand up to some stripers and stuff like that. So we wanted to upgrade the hardware, but the eyeball,
looks at you.
Yeah, it's really cool. And I think it gives such a good look to the bait.
It does. I can tell.
And they will only be available in the 20-gram size.
Okay. The Echo has been killer on the nighttime striper bite. So there you go.
Nice.
Yeah, so learn that.
That's great on dock lights for sure.
I'll remember that next time I see one. Pull up that next question right below that. Can you just swim the 5.4 with an EWG or a weighted EWG?
Just swim it. You probably won't get as much action because of how the hook is running through the bait. Now, one thing I did play with, I nose hooked this just like the sneak rig, and put a nail weight in there to see what it would do. That's you can also rig it. Getting ahead of myself on a regular hover rig where you put a nail weight in the belly, hover rig hook, it will spiral down and it'll swim like a fish. You can nose hook this bait, put the weight there, and fish it like a fluke, but you're not going to get that same fluke type action. This is not. I don't want guys to think that they're going to be. This is a fluke.
Right? Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
You can definitely have caught fish snapping it like that, but I think it really shines on the hover rig, on a roller style jig head, on the end of a scrounger or a chatterbait.
Okay. Scratch Fishing wants to know who makes that nose weight that you use.
I think that's Lunker City.
Okay, and it's a screw in.
Yeah, it's just one that I saw and ordered. I'm trying to look for more. I wish I could find a nice tungsten one.
Yeah, cool. I bet you do. Let's see. They work good up in Chesapeake too. So nice. Farther north out there. So excellent. How does that bait work weightless for top water? And I guess that goes back into the fluke thing.
It's exactly like that. Yeah, you could totally do it. But I think you're going to get the fluke type action, more of a fluke bait. I think I encourage guys to do some of the hover rig, the jig head, or fish it like that.
Okay. And then Farmer right below that says, ever since Ryan told me about the sneak rig, it brought my dock game to an even higher level. That rig is legit.
That's cool hearing that from him, man.
And that goes back like you've been able to skip it.
Yeah. And one thing to say too, if you guys put these nail weights in and you're just casting it in open water, push it down in there real good. It will stay in. I mean, you're not going to lose it. But if you start skipping docks, you'll want to put a little dab of glue right there at the end because the nail weight will come out when you start skipping docks on there.
Yeah, it's all about how
especially when you smack that pontoon exactly, I do every other cast.
Yeah.
Listen, that's one thing. Now, Jonathan Farmer is one of the best skippers I've ever seen.
Really?
I am one of the worst skippers you've ever seen. So that's good.
I'm with you, Danny.
Oh, I'm terrible. I can see using the big 5.4 Echo as one of the baits on the double fluke rig as the chaser bait on that rig. You ever thought about that?
Say that again.
So on a donkey rig, a double fluke rig,
using
the 5.4 as the chaser bait on that rig.
Having it back, having a big one on there. I haven't tried that yet. Let me know how that goes, Ron. I'd like to see
Ron's pretty slick sometimes.
Yeah.
He is, and I hope you feel him better. He's had some teeth problems. I know how bad that hurts.
I stumbled into him the other day.
Is he doing well?
Yeah.
Is he still a crotchety old grumpy man from Rome?
I was at the local country sportsman. He was in there bothering Charlie.
Is that what he was? Okay, I can see that. So let me ask you this.
Eddie Krell has to say.
Is Eddie there? The hover rig.
Hoover rig. Eddie can't spell.
Eddie.
The Hoover.
The Hoover rig.
That's a vacuum cleaner.
We just found out the name of his son, as I said. Me and Clint did after 5 years.
Oh, yeah. It was an interesting story about elk. Yeah. So I totally get that. The Hoover rig with the nose nail weight with the Echo is an awesome presentation.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's just something very
different. Now, can you fish that like a Demiki? If you just want to go vertical and just let it sit there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you can shake it. It will actually roll back and forth. You can, as Clint would say, tickle the cricket.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can do that too.
I am going to remember that one.
Cricket tickling.
It's because the last time we were at Chickamauga, we released a 3.5 Echo, and we were casting out there, and he's like, "You just got to tickle the cricket, son." That's what the sort of stuff camera guys say.
Yeah, so cricket tickling.
We get it cricket from Eddie. Eddie Krauth is the one, like if his worm comes off or something like that, he's like, "Oh, they got my cricket," right? So we got that.
Yeah, so we picked up cricket from Eddie, and then so I hate the term hover strolling, mid strolling. I think it's lame, man. Like I think it just doesn't. It sounds like you're walking a baby at the park. Like I don't want to think about that. I want to think about tickling a cricket and a big old spot comes up to eat it. That's what I want to think about. So I started cricket tickling and it started to get around.
I got that. So we got say Becky from Kaz again.
Oh, dude, Becky.
So we got Becky, we got Bent Worm from Driscoll, we got cricket tickling from you.
You're getting all sorts of stuff.
I love it. There's so many T-shirt opportunities with all this stuff.
Yeah.
We need to be taking notes.
We do. Well, look, it's going to be on YouTube forever, so we can go back and watch it again. I want to ask you this question, and it goes in conjunction with this tournament that they're having on Lanier next week. Is there which of these, of all the presentations that you talked about, whether it's the smaller Echo, the larger one, the Prodigy, and then that, if I was an out of town and I'm fishing this and I got no sonar, I can't use all that stuff. Which one would you use if you're trying to catch? If you're trying to win a tournament, all you can use is your Prodigy or your cast baits. What would you use?
So I would 100% throw the OG. Not even a question.
Even top water right now.
Yeah, I might. Maybe I should just.
I don't know if you should talk about that right now.
Yeah. I mean, I don't. Obviously, these guys aren't watching, so I don't want to sit here and.
I'm talking to you, and I are talking.
Okay, so this time last year, I had the best day I've ever had on Lanier. I went out with Franco in the morning, and our best 5 went 24 pounds on the OG, and I think it was like 56-degree water, and he caught a 7-pound largemouth. And then I went, I think around noon. I called Jeff and I said, Jeff Nail, and I said, I know it's Easter, but can you get out here? You've got to come experience this. And then we put together 22 pounds of just spots. So that was the 24 pounds was the biggest bag I've been a part of on Lanier. And then the 22 pounds was the biggest bag of spots all in one day.
All on top water.
All on top water.
And nobody really equates top water this time of year on Lake Lanier.
Right.
Now, do you think that is just the drawing power of it? Or do you think they're actually like, would other baits have worked? I'm just curious as to why.
So my experience with top water on Lanier early in the season, the first thing you want to throw is a wake bait style, really slow. Mac Farr taught me that. A wake bait is going to be the deal. It's not until they get out towards the brush, the water gets warmer, that they really want to react to the walking baits moving fast. The thing with the OG is, number one, it's drawing power. It's a bigger bait, right? But it does that thing where it goes and then it stops. And that stop, 95% of your bites happen on that stop. So I think they're willing to commit to that bait because you're working it and then the stop, and they come up and crush it.
Okay, that's
I know. And you know what? Also, I wish I was up here for it. I haven't done it, but I really want to throw that little cricket around during that time too.
Yeah,
because it's just like a herring swimming.
Well, so that's what surprises me with you saying the OG.
Oh, dude!
I did not. I figured you say the Prodigy.
I know you would.
I did.
So I would say I would say more of a Prodigy approach where you have a sneak rig and a line.
Yeah, the sneak rig too.
And especially when these guys are like practicing. Like I love throwing a bigger bait when I'm practicing trying to find fish. So like let's say, or let's say they got that practice period where they can go sling something to get a fish come out off a dock. Well, let's say they don't commit to that fish. You can come back and hit it with a sneak rig and catch that fish in the tournament or something like that. So I would have like a 1-2 approach with that, or the guy in the front of the boat's throwing the bigger one and the guy in the back's throwing a sneak rig, following 100%. Up fish. Like having that 1-2 punch is a really good. I mean, a lot of guys do something like that with some type of bigger swim bait or a glide bait and a wacky rig, and they'll follow it up. I know you love your wacky rigs, being able to skip in behind somebody that's sitting here bowed up on a 4-pounder, you skip a wacky rig and somehow catch a 7.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's how you roll.
Brad Silvers, we got 2 OG questions. Okay. I bought the OG in Black Pearl. I fish Carter's Lake mostly. Any tips? I haven't been able to connect with anything on it. And then that jumps right into Guy B's question. How do you work the OG? So maybe you can, maybe that's the
first thing I would definitely do if you guys get time. We did a show, was it a year ago? With Franco on, and he gave a complete breakdown, just explaining exactly how to fish the bait, how he does it. He's done really good on the OG, but
I'll put a link in the description of this show back to that one.
Watching, but I definitely want to make sure I answer your question because that's very important to me. Anybody that chooses to buy our product, I want you to go catch fish on it. The OG, the best recommendation I want to tell you is first off, as Clint mentioned earlier, having the right setup. It's a system. Okay, I'm using a 7.6 medium heavy rod. High gear ratio bait caster. You need that to impart the action on the bait. I use our 50-pound braid. This is specific, and this is after testing. Our 50-pound braid is a thin diameter to a very short 17 to 20-pound either mono or fluoro leader. What that braid is going to do is let you, I know if you've casted the OG, you can throw it 5 miles. So it's going to increase your cast on schooling fish. And what you want to do, you want to throw it out there. You hold your rod like this, point it at the bait. You do 3 or 4 really quick cranks of your reel. What that's going to do, the OG will sit like this in the water. It causes it to bite down, do a big S kick with a bubble trail, and pop back up. And some days, this is a Franco hack right here. Let that bait sit. Some days you can just keep working it fast. They always hit it when it's paused,
especially in colder water.
In colder water, let it sit for a second. Even when you feel uncomfortable, like you got to move it, because we have sat there and watched that thing just bobbing for a second and get annihilated. That's a very short way to explain to you how to work the OG. We got a lot of videos on our sites. You can reach out to me on Ryan Hanks on Facebook, and I'll jump on the phone with you and walk you through it because I definitely want you to crush it. Black Pearl Chrome is an amazing color, and it's caught some really big fish.
Yeah. So, and again, like he referenced the podcast, It's been probably year and a half ago.
And that's still relevant. Everything's relevant.
It's still relevant. So I'll put a link on that. But also, O'Connell right there, Matt O Fishing says at Guy B, I have 3 different ways to throw the OG, and he's got a video on his Instagram. So definitely go check that out.
Matt's a good dude, man. Yeah, I appreciate you, brother.
He is.
Yeah, all right with me.
He's okay. Braid on the OG right there, Joshua said, and that again, you were saying braid to either a mono or fluoro leader.
Yeah. The reason why is we're used to throwing a lot of top water baits on mono because a lot of them have the smaller hooks, so they don't tear trebles out.
Mm-hmm.
And when we were first testing the OG, Mac Farr actually called me. He was out on a guide trip, and he was with his customers dropping herring for stripers. And he's like, Ryan, we are catching some monster spots. You should come throw your OG over here after we leave. And I feel like I hooked what was my PB. And it was straight 15-pound mono. The problem is you're throwing it so far away from you that if you have a big fish come up and hit it at the end of your cast, you essentially have a big rubber band out there. So it's hard to penetrate those hooks at the end of your cast. That braid will help you penetrate. It also, the braid creates better action on the bait because it's picking up that bait faster. So it's getting those really sharp cuts on the OG.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. That's great. John B says you got the best customer service in the game.
I appreciate you, man. I try hard, man. I do.
Let's see. Pull up Jeremiah's comment right there. Listen, the only way the OG doesn't catch fish is when it's in the tackle box.
Let's go.
Otherwise, it's getting blasted.
It's cool, man. We so out there in Australia, we're doing an advertisement for the OG, and it's really cool. He helped me finish it today. We started it out on the Great Barrier Reef where it came from, and then we just filmed the second half of the video on Lanier. So this is what I'm
showing
really
where it started.
And
where it's at now.
I said, hey guys, welcome to the Great Barrier Reef, home of my favorite bass fishing lure. And we showed it here. So
I love it.
That was super cool.
What's up with the 7-pound spot that was caught? I don't know exactly which one you're talking about.
I don't know anything.
I would believe if I saw a 7-pound spot, it would be on our group page or something like that.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to show that off. So maybe you can kind of tell us a little bit more about that.
Please elaborate.
Yeah, please elaborate on a 7-pound
Closest
spot.
to that I know of was Harkins in the NPFL with that 612.
Yeah, that was a good one.
But that was like 6 months
That was
ago.
a while
You can't be
ago.
talking about the same fish.
That was a heck of a fish.
Oh, it was. So Eric, pronounce that name.
Oh, Eric Durazio.
Yeah, I just didn't want to murder it.
Yeah.
So works his tail off for all of us. Thank you. And
Appreciate it.
And again,
Thanks
that's
a lot, man.
I've
Thank
said
you
that
very much.
You
I
do
appreciate it,
bust
guys.
your butt.
Thank you.
And
Thank you
going
very
off of that right there, as we're getting a little later on in the show, and I'll get to your next question, John, in a second. What's Cascot looking forward? Looking forward into the future. Where do you see Cast going, and how you're going to maybe either branch out in other products or what's the future for Cast?
We got some. I can't say too much about it, but it was based on my Australia trip. We've got something really exciting, a huge collaboration for us in the saltwater world that's coming up. That's why I'll be at ICAST this year. I'm really, really excited about that. We are pushing into the Northeast a lot more. I've talked to the distributor in Quebec, and really for us, getting the Prodigy in that area because it's so awesome for smallmouth.
Yeah, I would imagine.
I'm going up there with a friend of ours, Andy Fool. He guides on Erie. We're going to go film up there in a couple weeks. I'm really looking forward to that. So just keep grinding hard, man, and trying to make the best baits possible and have the best customer service in the game. And really I just want people to catch fish and have fun, man. This life is so crazy, y'all. And the drama and all that, I just want people to get on the water and catch some fish and have fun. I don't want to just sell you a bait. I want you to buy the bait. And if you have a question, learn how to do the sneak rig, learn how to fish an OG, and go catch a monster. I'll be happy.
There you go.
Yeah.
John B, though, he wanted to know, are you going to get a rooster on the OG?
A rooster.
Rooster fish, I imagine is what he's asking.
Oh, I would love to. I really want to do that. They would eat one really well. I definitely want to do that.
Okay.
I've probably accidentally caught an actual rooster on the
yeah, I know. I've done that. No, but I always end up like if I go travel somewhere, it says dang GT. That's my fish right there. Because I am fat and I am out of shape, and they whoop my butt, and it mentally it's a big confront, and I like it. It makes it's one of the things that still makes my hand shake in fishing.
Absolutely. He was talking. He thought you caught like a 7-pound spot.
No, everybody would know it. I'd have a T-shirt right now with hanging out of his mouth.
Yeah, so for sure. Well, Jeremiah says I'm rooster fish are my second favorite fish on the planet. I can't wait to catch more of them, and I think he's a GT fan.
Yeah, no, it's just something
he
about
likes
those
that
fish, man. I think that rooster fish is in the same family.
Look
they're
at
special fish.
Partner caught a 687 last year at Carter's. I have a pic, but can't post it on here. Well,
that's awesome.
Hey, post it on the Fish North Georgia group page, and then everybody, you guys go over there to our Facebook page.
That's a
and
good
see
one.
it. Heck yeah, that's a
a
fish
good
of a
one.
lifetime.
Yeah, heck yeah.
You 5 pounds, great. You break 6 and up on
Yeah.
a spotted bass. That's a donkey.
That's a good one.
That is a donkey. Well, I tell you what,
Or a Becky.
or Becky. Say it one more
Becky.
time for me.
Or a Becky.
Or a Becky.
There you go.
I know you've had a long day, so I
No,
think
you're good, bro.
I think I'm gonna let you get on back to the house. I'm gonna link your website on this, and again, guys. We do have one more question. Ryan, what hook should we run on the 30 OG? I bought one that didn't have any.
Oh, nice. That was a while ago.
Yeah, that's an old school.
A 1/0 treble of your choice. I really like the BKK Sting we're using now, but 1/0 is the size you want on the 30 gram.
Okay, well there you go. Well, Ryan, again, you've been on the show several times, and I always enjoy it when you come up. Not only you have great baits, but you actually show people how to use them and talk about the techniques and stuff. That's what makes a difference. Customer, you're one of the nicer guys I know too. So the customer service, compliments, that doesn't shock me in the least. So
I appreciate it. Thanks, man.
You guys definitely need to get some of these things. But again, you probably already know the website, but for somebody watching at a later date, I will absolutely link it in the description, as well as some of the videos that Ryan mentioned. And again, there, Cletus, it's good to actually meet somebody who's, I see names and all that, but it's always good to have somebody sit down with me and to actually see that. And that's how guys that have been on the show. You might even be on the show. Like running the show. That's how it happens. Tim came in one day. I threw him on the camera.
Sure.
Paul, around, all of them did. But it's really cool. You got a good sense of humor, but also, you know what? Very intelligent, well thought out answers.
Absolutely.
You got to break it up a little bit.
You got to break it up. But listen, most guys your age are still thinking with other parts of their body. I can tell you use your brain a little bit.
I try.
And again, thank you for bringing all the good footage that you give Cast and the guys like that, because your videos are always spot on.
Crushing it.
Need to get here we go. Need to get Cletus in a local derby for a 20 bagger.
I'm down.
See, that's what I'm saying, and we will always remember, tickling the crickets or whatever the hell it is. Cricket tickling. You say.
Yeah, y'all remember to tickle you crickets.
Real quick.
Yeah,
appreciate you, brother. I wish I saw you this time, but we still have to go fishing. I hope I don't say that to you for the next 2 years. I know it's my fault. I'm so busy, but you're one of my favorite people, and I appreciate.
He's one of mine too.
He's awesome.
He is a good
dude. He's a big old teddy bear. Is what he is.
Like
he's a big old teddy bear.
I'm a big fan. That boy can fish too.
You know what? Can I say? I want to say this before I shut off, because a lot of anglers come in here that are very good, and they definitely don't toot their own horn, or even sometimes they lack confidence. They don't think about. I get more compliments on Jonathan Farmer than I do anybody.
It's a real dude, right?
Because when he's on, he says it. He's not afraid to say what he's doing and all that. And I've told him that in person, but now the world knows. Like, I'm serious, like
good,
straight up, dude.
I'm a big fan.
Yum to you, and he knows it. You need to have a little more yum in your life, there, Farmer. But I'm about to go tickle a cricket, so am I. And I'm just gonna get shot down when I do it when I get home. I know. So the old lady's asleep right there. So, but I'm gonna give it a shot. I'm gonna say, Cletus said, "Come, let you tickle my cricket." But anyway, I appreciate you guys for coming up and all that you do. And guys, hey, again, I appreciate you watching. And remember, next week there will be no Tuesday night and no Thursday night Livewell, because we are going to be at the Touring Anglers Association's tournament. We will be doing a live weigh-in on Wednesday and on Thursday. And again, we're going, whatever time they set for the weigh-in, we're going to go live about an hour before that. We just actually bought a mobile podcast setup, so this stuff we don't have to drag it around. So we're set up to go there, and hopefully we'll get some of the anglers involved after they weigh in, and maybe have some interviews, and just bring you the excitement that's going to be on Lake Lanier. So, guys, we appreciate you. Like, you guys are absolutely the best viewers out there, and so you guys make the show possible, just like the great guests. So, if you're on the water this weekend, be safe and enjoy it. Go smack you some Beckies around and have a good time. And we will see you Wednesday from Laurel Park for the Touring Anglers Association's weigh-in. You guys have a great weekend.